Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 87 of Purple Hyacinth, Even Escape. Today we have Fwoot, Lilia, and Shivii. And we're so excited to do this episode because it is filled with awesomeness. And Fwoot is going to take it away because she loves this.
So we're starting off with one of the best scenes in the entire series. And we picked off right where episode 86 left off, with Lauren opening the door for Lady Nera Elena Darcy. And she's standing there looking glamorous. And then we get the title card in episode 87. So immediately we see that she's very polite and she's curtsying to Lauren, saying good evening. And then Will's also there, so she's like, it's been a long time, William. And nice to finally meet you, Miss Sinclair. You look just as lovely as they describe you. And she thanks him. Will takes her hand and says, glad you arrived safely. You are as ravishing as always, Lady Darcy. Please let me take care of your coat. And then Darcy laughs or chuckles and says, you're still as gentlemanly as ever, William. And then we get our first lie of many. You know, I was relieved to hear from my father of your serious interest in other meetings. So, like, just first impressions, what do you guys think?
Very stiff and formal. I mean, they're both extremely stiff and formal here. And they're saying true things, like William does say she is ravishing. He is really gentlemanly. But, you know, it seems like William just is totally, we know William, we don't know her yet. But from what we see of Will, he's putting on this very polite front. It does not seem very natural to him.
Oh, yeah,
I love Darcy.
Same.
Yes.
I love Darcy.
I love Darcy so much. Like, okay, so if like you know me on the Discord, I simp for a lot of characters. I don't really simp for Darcy, but I feel like I can connect with her. I feel like I'm more like Darcy personality wise. She's just like, she knows what she's doing. I feel like there's a purpose why she's here. That's just a hunch. And you just get this vibe that, you know, she feels bad for Will. You know what I mean? But it's like they just have to do what they have to do.
Oh, yeah.
Very curious about Darcy's personality because we didn't know anything about her before. Like last episode, we just saw her for one panel. Like we didn't know anything about her personality, and we still didn't get into much yet. But after this whole encounter, I was very pleased and relieved and we could talk about it like after we finish the Darcy, like the whole Darcy scene, because she displays a lot of her personality in these scenes. But you can see right away is that the father, Stefan, is pushing them to meet, and you know, she says she's lying, right? She was relieved to hear about your serious interest in other meetings. So their father is clearly pushing them to have a relationship, and she's not into it.
Literally in like the same boat as Will, like, and I guess she also has not much say in the matter.
Yeah,
from what it seems.
I've been saying this for months, like since episode 67, like when we first got introduced to the idea of her. I was like, you know, guys, like, because a lot of people were hating on her. A lot of people thought that she would get in the way of Kiwi, and we'll see that later on, of course. As we'll discuss that later on as we get more into the scene. But I was like, y'all, we don't even know this girl. She probably doesn't want this. I'm willing to bet my entire existence that she is not straight.
That was like my first thought. Like, I think if you search in the Discord, the first thing I said about Darcy was that she was a lesbian.
This is before this episode?
Yeah, like this is November.
It was with the concept art when I think it was like, it was in a different server, I think, but it was when Soph was like, she was drawing concept art.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't.
She didn't say that it was Darcy. Like she just drew a character and then we had no idea who it is. But a lot of people were guessing that it was Darcy, and I guess we ended up being right.
Because a lot of people that are introduced in Purple Hyacinth are soon introduced thereafter for a reason. There's like everything that builds up. There's so many reasons for things. So
yeah, you don't get name dropped without showing up. Like I think.
Yeah, like how Rafael was name dropped in also 67, and then he showed up in episode 70.
Oh.
That was not a very short time span. I was actually a little bit surprised because I was like, oh wow, that was really soon.
I remember doing the stream for I think 71 or 70 when Rafael showed up for the first time. We didn't know that Will had a brother, so we were starting to like guess if Rafael was like an illegitimate son of the Hawks or something
Oh
like
my
that. You remember that,
gosh.
Shivii?
Yeah, we were doing like the eye color, like how it would turn out depending on the parents. Like, what do you guys think Josephine's eye color is? Did she have is Stefan the one with the bastard son or so forth? And then we were saying that Stefan probably has a bunch of bastard sons.
Oh my gosh, the amount of theorizing that goes on. I've never seen this much
I
theorizing.
know. It's madness. But Soph loves Darcy and she didn't hide Darcy from anybody. So it's like Darcy has always been a topic of discussion, especially in the streams, not so much in the server until the chapter release. But yeah, you just get that vibe.
I watched like all the Darcy streams and the amount of something going on was incredible.
Darcy just has like this power enigma around her. Like she could stomp on you and you'd thank her.
I wouldn't, but it's okay. I wouldn't do it to Kieran
Unfortunately,
either. So
because I don't watch streams, I missed a lot of them. So I only started really hearing about all this simping like actually before this episode came out for Fast Fast, because the streamers were being a little not very subtle.
Yeah, very excited.
But I did actually, I think it was the first concept stream, which was back in December. People were yelling at me to get on that stream because they thought it was Darcy, and the concept art was like really similar to a concept I had drawn like a month prior. And I won't lie, I did scream when I saw the concept. But
yeah, I mean, it's eerie how similar it was.
But yeah, I thought it was Darcy, and I was so excited. I was just waiting for this chapter to happen.
I'm just really glad Darcy is in the same boat as Will, like, and their childhood friends, that which we'll get to. It's just I'm sure it's still awkward for the both of them.
This is just a little bit ironic. I think we discussed it in the 86 chapter or podcast a little bit, but there are a lot of comments in the episode 67 chapter and the episode 86 chapter that are just kind of mad at Darcy for existing because she's supposedly just getting in the way of the Kiwi ship. And I do find it a little bit ironic that instead of focusing on the people pressuring the two together, they're focusing on the girl who's just as helpless in all of this as
Honestly,
Will.
Even if she was interested in Will, like as far as she knows, he's single and she doesn't know that Kim even exists. So like you can't even fault her if she has an interest. Like I don't see why she's getting a lot of hate.
Like Will himself even is aware of his interest in Kim. Nobody, even Kim doesn't acknowledge it. Like we're the only ones who are into it. We're us and the rest of the office.
And Lauren.
Neither of them think that.
Speaking of Lauren, like if you just watch Lauren the whole time, it's just like a captain watching her ship, like thinking, like, what's happening? Wait, what? Abort.
Her expressions are priceless in this whole interaction.
Okay, so we get our first lie, and it's, I was I was relieved to hear from my father of your serious interest in other meetings. So she obviously does not want to be here either. She doesn't have any interest in Will. She would pass it up if she could. Then we get probably some of the most lies in the entire series in like the shortest amount of time. Like they're just going back and forth with this red text, and Lauren is just
that we didn't expect.
Lauren's just like going back and forth between them. So Will continues in his my serious interest. Yes, I was excited to learn you'd been invited to the Sinclair's party. I would love to keep you company tonight. So he was not happy to see her invited, and he does not want to keep her company tonight. And Lauren knows this. And then Darcy says, me too, I really enjoy these festive gatherings. She does not like these festive gatherings. That is also in red text. And I would love to pick up the conversation we left off last time. which is also in red text. So she does not want to bring up the last conversation. And Lauren is basically us. Lauren is just looking a bit dumbfounded through all of this. And we see her thinking, what is going on? And then we get a break from the lies, and Darcy says, by the way, your place looks splendid, Miss Sinclair. And she hands her coat to Will. Would you mind showing us around? And Lauren's like, oh, it'd be my pleasure. And we don't know if that was a lie or not, because unfortunately, Lauren's lies do not show up for us.
All of Lauren's text is always read.
Yeah. I think there would be, less mystery if we would see her lies.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine the conversation between Will and Darcy being that awkward, like, yeah, our fathers are forcing us to do this, so what do we do? Just go with it, I guess.
It's when your parents make you play with the neighbor's kid.
Just act like you're enjoying yourself.
Honestly, Lauren is just us during this entire interaction, lost and confused, trying to figure out what the hell is happening and watching, or maybe thinking that our ship is going to sink. And I think this was like in episode 86. This is the first time that we've really seen Will lying, like where his words actually showed up in red text.
Mhm.
The first lie was in 86, but it wasn't really a conversation, it was more of a comment. And so here's like the actual conversation. And so I guess on to the next part. We pick up with Darcy speaking, and she says, I'd love to go horseback riding with you someday, William. And that is a lie. And that's cool. Like, she horseback ride. I thought she would fence. I mean, the
Yeah.
possibility is still out there, but she's an equestrian, which is, I think, exciting. So I hope
Like-
that doesn't happen.
Like, which upper class activity does she engage in? Tennis, horseback riding, fencing,
Spin the wheel to find out.
archery.
She probably
then-
has like a big stallion. Like that's what Darcy does all day. She just rides around on a horse. She doesn't use cars.
I
She
mean,
probably didn't even want to go in that car. She wanted to ride on a horseback.
we could take this the depressing route and say that horse riding is how she expresses herself and how she feels free. Because
Oh.
Ow.
yeah,
It hurts.
like,
Ow.
Well, each of the
But
characters
why?
have their own little thing that they cope with, so maybe that is hers.
hers is the
I wouldn't be
escape.
surprised.
Because
Yeah.
it could be like a
Taste of horseback
solitary
riding.
thing where you just go on a horse and just, wander off on your own. So
Mhm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Oh, that hurts. And so, oh my god. Okay, so then
look,
Will
he's
says,
a female Lilia.
then Will says, that'd be lovely, yes, and that's a lie. And then he says, I heard you are an outstanding writer, Lady Darcy. There are beautiful tracks on the outskirts of the city that I'd like to show you. And that last comment there is a lie. And that sort of suggests that Will also does a little bit of horseback riding, which is interesting. And then Darcy says, that's very thoughtful of you. My father was right when he said you'd be perfect for me. And that last comment of her about being perfect is a lie. So yeah, she's not interested. She does not want to be here. And then
That comment also is like so on the nose, where she's just, telling us, okay, my dad wants us to be together. I mean, whether it's, I wonder if how much she's saying it, like, because obviously, like she and Will know that. I wonder if she's saying that for Lauren to understand, because she may not understand what's going on. She's kind of helping her out, especially because she has that expression on her face. But yeah, this is like leaving us in no doubt that it's the dads who are matchmaking here.
yeah. And I don't know, maybe that, both dads might be apostles. This is an old theory of mine from like January. Trying to form a PS alliance by marrying his kids. Because to accumulate more power for himself in the PS, like make sure people are on his side. So what if like both their parents are apostles?
Right. So I've said, like, I don't think Stefan he wouldn't strike me as someone who's part of the PS.
Yeah, that's true.
But because of like his obsession with social hierarchy
That's
and the conversation in last last episode, but you never know. We could be surprised.
Yeah.
I think we'll get more on that topic because of a panel that's coming up later. But like, there is a lot that I want to say about it.
I definitely think like I'm just gonna slip this in. I'll probably bring it back later, but I think for Stefan, he has no interest in like the social hierarchy and bringing it down. His only interest is keeping his position in the new world that the PS will create, and so he wants to be on the good side of the Phantom Scythe.
That definitely could be, because I definitely see that the Phantom Scythe does seem to attract people who are just power hungry. So that's that is a possibility.
Yeah. And
Right,
so
like
then
I'll say this really
sorry.
quick. If Stefan, okay, so he's like retired, right? And he wants the best for his son. Maybe, this is going off if Rafael is in the PS for his dad, but if Stefan knows that the new world is something that's going to be happening where the Phantom Scythe is the one that's in charge, he's going to want to be on the right side. So maybe that's why he's, in it or a part of it.
He has faith that the Phantom Scythe will succeed, and because of that, he wants to stay on top.
Right.
That doesn't really explain
the consequences.
Maintaining his own status. And so then we continue with Will, and he says, "Your father flatters me. I'd love to see your parents soon." And that is a lie. He does not want to meet the parents. There's so many lies.
He hasn't met
Darcy-
the parents.
Yeah, he hasn't. Well, I'd love to see your parents soon. I guess like we do know that they have seen each other before, so that might be a possibility. Let's see. And she says, "I also can't wait for my grandmother to finally meet you." So the grandmother has not met Will, but her parents. And then I think this is Will. He says, "How exciting." And that is also a lie. And Lauren is just looking done. Her eyes are empty.
had it.
She's like
Kiwi
oh
Captain
my
is fed up with
God.
lies.
Yeah. And then
Wait, I have it before we go on. I want to point out two things. So her glass, did you notice that the three glasses now they're all empty?
yeah, I don't know what was up with that. It's
Yeah,
did she
they're
finish
all
drinking or
empty.
something?
Wait,
Either that or it's an error. Or
it's
she
probably
dumped them.
just because one was full and it's full later. I thought, or wait, now I don't know.
And then the glasses are empty for the rest of the
I've
chapter,
been to it.
actually.
Well, it drops.
One of them dropped it. I don't know. Anyways, so Lauren says,
Before,
oh,
sorry,
or-
one more thing. I think that it is significant that she talks about her grandmother. I'm wondering if her grandmother is someone important in the story. Like maybe,
Yeah.
so we know that King Edward died, right? But I don't think we mentioned anything about what happened to his wife. Maybe her grandmother is the former queen, King Philip's mother.
I was thinking that her grandmother's on the council
Oh,
oh, that could be true.
because old
Yeah.
people are on councils, so I don't trust any of the
And-
old people.
Maybe,
Maybe-
oh my God, maybe her grandmother is Lady A.
What? That would be
cool.
wild. Oh my God.
Oh my God. I think
That would
it's
explain her
Nera.
suspiciousness, by the way.
Lady A is on the council. She knows the whole thing. Oh my God.
I think this is a while back. One of Darcy's names, I think it was Nera, is actually like it was a noble name, like a name from nobility. And
You mean
it
light?
means I think Elena means light, but Nera means ferns, I believe.
Brent?
So
If Nera means light, that would be
Oh.
perfect for the lamp lady.
but yeah, I think Darcy being related to nobility is not that far-fetched. Especially
But,
considering her name.
Yeah, and she's from a proper noble family. So that would mean that it's a lineage of proper noble ancestors.
Now that I think about it, like Lady A and Nara were the only people called Lady. Like they're the only ones so far we've seen with that title. So maybe
Oh, true.
they're related.
We've seen Duke for Stefan and Viscount, but we haven't seen any other ladies. Anyway,
Oh wait, Lauren is called Lady too, but by her maid, like I think back in
Lady.
episode 1.
Lady
Oh,
Lauren.
that's true.
So, but I don't know if that's an actual title or that's
it's
just
an
like, you
employee
know, the
thing.
maid talking to her superior.
Yeah.
Mhm. Because the Sinclairs did come from out of town, I'm not sure if they would have any of the special titles except for like their job ones.
Hmm.
So, anyways, Lauren thinks, okay, that's enough. I have to do something about this. And she closes her apartment. So, in the next panel, I just love the composition of this because it feels so uneasy. But in the next panel, she does a fake trip and she purposefully lets go of one of the glasses. And then Darcy, like the ever agile is,
Perfect.
quickly and swiftly just grabs the glass and takes Lauren by surprise in this beautiful panel where they make eye contact. And Darcy's holding the glass and she prevented it from falling. And Lauren's like, huh? And then Darcy's like, why are you looking at me like this? Was I not supposed to catch it? And Lauren's like, you were not supposed to catch it. Drop it and follow my lead. And Darcy's like, she nods. So Darcy drops it.
Just
It shatters.
non-verbal communication.
Mhm.
They have a rapport.
And then Lauren's like, oh, I don't think I feel so good. And then Darcy's like, oh my God, Miss Sinclair, you look so pale. And that is a lie. And then poor darling,
Real
which is also a
fast.
lie. And then let me take care of those glasses. Will says, Lauren, are you okay? And then Darcy says, William, you should take your friend upstairs to rest. I'll be fine on my own. And then Lauren's like, we're leaving here. And Will says, okay. Or like, she's like, we're leaving here. And Will's like, okay. And then Lauren says, don't worry about the glass. I'll ask a maid to take care of it. And then Will says, I'll be right back. Terribly sorry about this. He's not sorry about that.
He's actually happy
I love
about
that.
this.
I feel kind of bad for Darcy. Like, I know she isn't interested in him, but it does hurt a bit when like someone
Yeah.
doesn't want to be around you and you haven't really done anything wrong.
Especially someone like Will, you know? Like,
Yeah.
oh.
I think she's grateful based on what she says next. I think she's so
Mhm.
happy to get out of this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she says, no problem. I understand. I will join the other guests in the living room. And then Darcy says, I don't know how you noticed, but thank you. And Lauren says, no problem. And that ends our Darcy scene.
I love that scene so
So
much.
based on that, I think she was quite happy to get rid of Will as
Mhm.
well.
But
Yeah.
like what I noticed that when Will or Darcy are talking about each other, like their compliments are genuine. Like I guess they realize that the other one is such a catch, but like they still want nothing to do with each other. But they still like, I guess, I don't know. I think they have a lot of friendship potential. To be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. They respect
definitely-
each other so much.
Yeah, they definitely they like the other, but just like not when they're not as a romantic partner.
Especially when it's forced.
Mhm. But yeah, like she said, there is so much friendship potential, and I really hope that they do not let their circumstances bar them from becoming closer friends, because I think that they would both benefit from some more friends.
Especially
what-
with the
Sorry,
fact
go
that
ahead.
they might be in the same boat. Sorry.
Mhm. Yeah.
Admire Darcy's ability to pick up on Lauren's unsaid, eye communication,
Mhm.
where she like immediately caught on that Lauren was trying to create a distraction to get rid of this,
Yeah.
conversation, and she just went along with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
said that reminded me of like Loon's earlier days where they just
I know,
communicate
right?
through like hand signs and like looks and stuff.
Mhm.
It makes me think Darcy's going to be the one that finds out a lot more about Lauren. Okay, so I love Darcy, but I am suspicious of her. Like, there's got to be a reason why she's here. And the whole glass catching thing, maybe she's just got fast reflexes. I don't know. And then the whole eye thing. So that alone, it just has this instant friendship connection between Lauren and Darcy that I feel would be so good.
Mhm.
And then what was the other one? Oh, shit, I lost it.
So while you find that, I'm just gonna drop in some
Oh
more
yeah,
thoughts.
go ahead. I was looking. Hold on. I have to
Like
take the
Mindy
page.
said, Darcy is actually pretty intelligent. Like she was able to pick up on what Lauren was doing, and she realized that Lauren somehow knew her own thoughts and feelings. And so I do definitely think that Darcy may come into play again, like with Loon, and I hope that she does end up helping Loon for good and not in that she isn't against them, but she will definitely play a lot of significance into this story. Just her, like you guys said, her being able to pick up on the eyes and her just picking up on like Lauren.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. I think Darcy's gonna be the next person to find out that Lauren can her ability, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right
Uh,
now?
because okay,
Okay.
so there was a panel from a while ago that when I was rereading through, and Lauren joked like, "Oh yeah, it was in 37." She's like, "Huh, I can't see the future. I can't read the future." And then I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So that has to be the other ability. I just have that feeling, you know what I mean? So the fortune teller could see her future, and maybe the fortune teller and Darcy know each other, or maybe they're even related. So I think Darcy believing in that ability would be a lot higher chance than other people like Will.
Mhm. If they aren't
Darcy has
related,
an ability.
oh yeah, she
That'd
might
be
have an ability.
amazing.
And
Darcy
Shivii,
has
what
the
you
ability of being kick-ass.
She has the ability of making people incredibly gay. But Shivii, what you said, so about like her being maybe like, you know, a little bit PSC. A while back on the old server, F actually said something very interesting about some people to expect in season 2. And one of them was someone with the initial E, and it was most likely a last name E, because I'm not sure if this is very noticeable, but the Loon convicts actually had an alphabet to them. They were in alphabet. So we got Onslow for A, we got Blakesley, Holden, D,
He was Davenport, I think.
yeah, D is Davenport for Bella. Then we skip E and we go to F. I'm not sure.
Flemings.
Yeah,
Flemings, that was it.
Flemings.
And I think McTrevor is M, so he was the only one out of that. But yeah, there's an alphabet there, and they skipped E, but E is supposed to show up somewhere this season, and it could be Evans, but because Evans was introduced in season 1, it
Wouldn't
is very
count.
likely that it is Nera Elena Darcy.
You think it's not the cigar lady?
I think
I mean,
it's
it
a
could be
cigar
Cigar
lady.
Lady,
I think
but
it's
we
the
still don't
cigar
know her
lady.
name.
I like the Evans idea because it's a last name and because he suddenly showed up at this party.
I
And
mean,
that's
her
pretty
name,
good.
last name could be Evans. It could be his mom or something.
Maybe his first name is Evan.
Evan Evans.
Evan Evans.
Kind of like the McTrevor kid. Trevor McTrevor.
And the panel of like where Lauren's like, I don't feel so good, and Darcy's like, oh, you poor darling. I love that panel so much because they're in on, and like Darcy's just sort of wing womaning Lauren and Lauren's wing womaning Darcy.
Yeah, there's such good friendship potential. I love it.
Yes.
It's I
Yay,
just love it so
friends.
much.
Like, part of the reason why I'm upset that party's over is that we're not going to see Darcy for a while.
Yeah, we don't know when Darcy will come back. Hopefully sometime soon. I am
Yes.
praying.
Yeah, I'm hoping a lot more.
Mhm. And yeah, just when she thanks her too, and Lauren's like, no problem, and they wink. Oh, it's a good scene.
And it's a good impression for Darcy.
And I don't know. I'm so smug that she actually turned out to be a good person and like to be like really nice. Because, you know, I wasn't sure back in November. We just heard her last name. We didn't know what she was like. And so like I was hoping that she'd be nice and kind and just a good person.
Yeah, and
And
someone
that
that
Soap and F
everyone
wouldn't
likes.
go with the whole like evil love rival, love triangle route. And I'm very happy with how this turned out because she's already a complex and layered character who has her own motivations, is already being like fleshed out in what she does, and maybe some of her own coping mechanisms with the horseback riding, and she's not interested in Will. And despite her not being interested in Will and her just not really having much romantic significance to any of the 04, she's still a great character, and I love that. She's not 2D, and she wasn't belittled to someone 2D or just someone evil and mean who's easy for us to hate. She's a genuinely great character. And like Shivii said, she's already relatable to so many people, and that's amazing, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a quality that she has over other people in the cast, because like Darcy's the kind of person that could change based on who she's talking to and just, encapsulate people's attention.
Mhm.
And that's why Will's dad is like, oh, she's a good choice. I mean, she even convinced that guy.
And also, this is also amazing too, but she's probably like our first. We had Hecate, or I don't know how to say her name, but she's probably going to be our most relevant POC character, and the POC, our big relevant POC character, being so like just such a great and well written one. That's also amazing because representation isn't usually great, and well, I do think that seeing someone with more melanin introduced earlier into the story, or having one of the 04, or several of the 04 have melanin would have been preferred. I'm still glad that we are getting this representation, because Darcy is a great character, and she might even be LGBTQ plus. So
yeah, and the way with the whole like timeline, or like the whole like time period of Purple Hyacinth gives us these chances to have like this kind of fictional world, because I mean, obviously back then at that point in time, Lauren wouldn't have been a police officer, et cetera, et cetera. So now we have someone of color who is in a position of nobility and whatnot, and it's just like fun to live in this fiction world of what if that were a thing. And I see a lot of TV series doing that now as well, and I like that.
Right.
this is not really related to Darcy, but I've seen so many people try to justify the amount of white passing or white seeming characters in PH with, oh, it's just historically accurate, but that's not really a great argument when defending why there are so many white passing characters, because PH and Art Hollis, it isn't historically accurate. We see women working in the police in a era that's supposed to be based off, but isn't defined completely by the Victorian era.
It was something like Soph described it as like the late 1800s with a merge of like 2050 South Korean I don't know timeline. She like merged it together, like it's like this futuristic but also not.
Yeah, I'm actually looking up now when the phone became popular, because those are the few things.
Yeah, they do keep some things accurate, like the shower heads in the shower. Kieran doesn't have a refrigerator.
He does not?
He does not.
What? I did not notice that.
How does he survive? I don't know.
I mean, in episode 37, he had a candle out or something in the living room.
Yeah, he's literally
But then they have flashlights. Like, what?
Yeah, he has actual light bulbs though in his house. He just
Oh, he has a little lamp in his he has a little desk lamp in his studio.
Yeah, he has a few lamps. He has one out in the living room too.
And the police have the police have walkie-talkies, which I think was invented
that was
in the
1937
30s or 40s.
1937. I just looked that up. I think that's the latest thing that they have in the whole comic.
Yeah.
Wait, no. I spotted something in 83. There is a keep calm and drink beer poster, and that is
Oh,
very
yeah.
clearly 2014
there's
energy
memes at
right
the
there.
bar.
So that
Yeah.
is as far as this era is coming.
there's also
There's
Peppa Pig.
Corona
For
beer in episode 5, by the
inventions.
way.
There's also Smirnoff. I don't know when Smirnoff was around, but like the bottle's very modern and it's in the Tango episode. I was like, huh, okay.
And
There's also Peppa
episode 5
Pig.
has actual like yes.
Oh yeah, there's
has
Peppa
Corona
Lisa.
beer. Oh, and those like Bluetooth things that they used in the Carmen Camellia. Like I'm pretty sure that's not
Oh, yeah.
episode.
Did not exist.
Something right here.
Also,
I mean, they have
all of Kieran's
walkie-talkies, so-
Gucci.
So yeah, Karen's Burberry, his Burberry jacket.
Wait, what did I miss? What did he have that was Gucci?
We were just like at the carnival, like his Burberry jacket. It was basically a Burberry jacket because it literally looks like one. And like all his clothes are very nice. So we just make fun of him and say he wears Gucci and Yeezys and shit.
I'm very much not a fan of brand name stuff, and like I would
know,
I would lose respect for him if he cared about that stuff. Let's just say. But anyway.
Well, it's funny because like he even said that he's thankful that he has clothes and stuff. So I see Kieran like on the outlet. He's already in debt, so he has to get like the outlet stuff.
So
He does have the best fashion sense in the comic.
Lauren and Darcy. I mean,
Well, Kieran's outfits are so abundant. But
all
yeah,
really similar
Lauren.
outfits just slap every single time.
both I feel like a lot of people they tend the outfits are pretty similar because even the women in the comic do wear more masculine clothes most of the time, like shirts and pants. So I don't feel like there's much of a difference. You know, it's like a little frill here, a little blossom or something,
Mhm.
large sleeves or something. But it's mainly pretty simple outfits usually.
The
I
balloon
think-
sleeves and the turtlenecks, or like the high collars. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, Lauren's wearing a bunch of ruffles, by the way, during the party.
Yeah, sus seeing you,
So,
Lauren. I don't
mhm.
trust you anymore.
Yeah, that theory might be a little too in depth.
Still holding on to
I
it.
mean,
Totally.
Rachel was wearing 2 ruffles, and look where she ended up. So, like in the 49 flashback. So I mean, we were on the nose with that.
Do you want me to continue with the next scene?
Oh yeah, we're going into the next segment here.
Okay, so we open up with a shot of Lauren's balcony, and it's a really beautiful image. We see Will and Lauren leaning over the balcony, not looking at each other, but clearly looking very comfortable with each other. And Will reminisces and he says, the number of times we ended up on this balcony running away from the other guests. So they've done this before. This is a repeat. This is they had boarding parties before. And Lauren says, I admit I'm tempted to escape through a window like Kim would do. And one has to wonder, Lauren, why are you mentioning Kim? Just asking. I feel like she's pushing the ship as well.
A lot this
She
episode.
definitely is.
She's like ready for them to get married, I'm pretty sure.
Mhm. She already has the whole wedding planned. She's just waiting for one of them to propose.
Yeah.
But Will is, the rest of this conversation shows he's not thinking that direction yet. He asked, where is Kim? As hungover as I am, I hope. So he's hungover and he wants Kim to have this to suffer like him, basically. He wants it for incident for Kim. But Kim, instead, we see a beautiful scene. She's celebrating with her family. It's a simple home. You can tell it's small, not too ornately decorated, just nice and cozy. They're sitting, she and I thought it was her brother at first, but I'm guessing it's her dad, are sitting on the couch, and their mom is taking out like a sheet of freshly baked cookies. It's so sweet. And
Yeah,
they're
her
like
parents look so
celebrating.
young.
I need this panel framed like in my room. They're so
They're so
sweet.
happy.
Her mother's such a beauty.
She's so young and pretty.
Her mom's so pretty. Anyways, I just want to point this out to make you guys all sad because I'm a jerk. But if you look at the sofas, there's room for 4 there.
You stop.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
I remember you said that. That was,
Mhm.
yeah, that was the less deliberate, like dagger pushing. Just
Also, the clock is like it seems to be like 2:55-ish. So I don't know what's going on with the clock.
I always look at the clocks and they're always wrong. I'm like, what's
Well, I mean,
happening?
Kim carries around the broken clock, so as broken watch. So I wouldn't be surprised if the whole house has like broken clocks everywhere.
Oh my
They
gosh.
simply exist outside of time.
There
The
wasn't
broken clock is like 2:25, I think. I just reread it recently. I
Oh,
was
there
trying to
was
remember what
actually a weird theory that I put on my tinfoil hat last night on no sleep, and I was looking at all of Kim's panels of her watch, and I noticed that the light shines exactly on certain numbers on the watch, depending on the episode.
Ooh.
So I was just like looking at it, and they all kind of line up the same. It's always like 11 or 4, I think. 11 or 4 is always highlighted with the lighting. And then 64 and 77, or wait, no, 18 and 64 have the same panel, but Soph switched it, I think. She like flipped it around.
Conspiracy. I like
I know,
it.
I was like, this is interesting. I think it was 77 that the light just hit 10, 11, and 12 so perfectly. And I was like, that's kind of weird.
Mhm. Silly
That
right
also
here.
hit 1 and 2 as well. And then I'm like, well, Rachel and Alex were some of the first 2 apostles, 1 and 2. And then I was like, so wait, is 10, 11, and 12 significant? Should I be looking out for this?
It's hilarious. Yeah, we're a little obsessed. But I like how the living room is also decorated. It seems to be decorated with fairy lights, probably in honor of New Year's. So, they take their holiday seriously. They celebrate, they make things nice. The mom's baking. So it seems like they have a really, really healthy family life. And they're warm and loving and filled with happiness.
Yep, they're actually happy to be where they are. Unlike
It's
Lauren
the
and
only
Will.
pure happiness and purple hyacinth.
Not Lauren. Kim's parents are so problematic. They're like the only ones that aren't dead, like the only pair of parents that aren't dead or about to die.
Yeah.
Or terrible,
Yeah.
Yeah. They probably aren't forcing her to marry somebody against her will. And Lauren says, I invited her and her family this year too, but she declined, and I understand her. Yeah, definitely preferable. She said she wouldn't feel at her place. I think she feels in place in our bougie parties.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kim does seem to come from a more humble background. And also honestly, it seems like her parties are much more enjoyable than this one.
I invited her and her family this year too implies that Lauren has asked her before to come, probably like all during their friendships, but Kim has never
For what, 2
accepted.
years?
Yeah, they've done it for about 2 years, I think. And then she also said the line about her saying that she said she wouldn't feel at her place in our bougie parties kind of makes me worry that Will's world is a lot more expensive than Kim's and a lot more like bougie and fancy. So I do worry that if once they do start getting closer and Kim does start getting more involved in Will's life, that she's gonna feel super out of place with everything, and she'll get a bit of culture shock.
I definitely feel like Kim would push away, if she felt so pressured, but Will also could easily just put that life behind him and live a simple, normal life if he could.
But she kind of strikes me as the type of person who wouldn't care that much about these things.
Yeah, that too.
But it is hard when couples, if you come from different backgrounds, you have different lifestyle expectations. I think it is hard for couples to merge that, because you have so many hidden assumptions that you don't even think about until you're encountered with a different way of life, and then you're like, wait, isn't it normal to spend $200 on a bottle of wine? She's like, no, it is not. Small things like that are just taken for granted in each other's life can cause a lot of tension.
I'm sure Kim would be able to go to these bougie parties and fit in, but I think in a long-term type of situation where she's always in that world, it would drain her.
Yeah, it wouldn't be healthy for her.
Right. But then it seems like Will doesn't like that kind of atmosphere either. So I could
Yeah,
totally
Will
see him
hates it.
ditching it completely.
Yes, there is
Right.
hope.
Where did we leave off?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Sorry. But yeah, I mean, I wonder if Soph and F will talk about it, but not everyone necessarily understands. If you haven't encountered living with someone from a different financial background, it may not be like on their mind in terms of, or it may not just be something important they feel to focus on in the story, but I think in real life, it definitely is a big issue. Anyway, just from my own personal experience. But Will says, couldn't agree more. No offense, I'd also rather be miles away from here tonight. However, I'm sure she would make this night unforgettable for everyone here. And he sighs because he still associates Kim in his mind with like a burden and, like, oh, she's so difficult. But Kim, Lauren's laughing and she's like, only an ambulance catastrophe like her could save us from the dullness of this night. She's really enjoying herself. She seems very relaxed and, just speaking about the people that she loves. And then she teases him and she's like, I'm right, you're deceiving me, or is our lieutenant starting to like his sergeant? That is a smirk on her face. She is totally egging him on.
I love that Lauren is going to be the reason that Kiwi sails. She's pushing them so much.
Lauren's like, fine, I'll do this myself.
I mean, she's willing to get kidnapped again if it means they get together. So
later on, she's like, hey, Sandman, can you like kidnap me again?
Oh, she could get kidnapped and then they have to work together at saving her and then bond in the process.
Sandman's like, why
I
do
just
you
thought
want
of
to
something
get
terrible.
kidnapped?
Yeah.
And Lauren's like, you don't understand. It's a matter of life and death. And Sandman's like, what? And then Lauren's like, if you don't kidnap me, I may never wait, okay. If you don't kidnap me, I may never have to third wheel again.
Yeah, I'm sure she's feeling like a huge third wheel because these two idiots don't realize that they like each other.
I mean,
Exactly
even
what Will said.
Kieran noticed that they have some potential after meeting them for like a day.
Yeah, he knew
Like
right
everybody
away.
can
It
see
was
it,
so
but
funny.
them.
Kieran was drawing fan art from the very beginning.
Yeah.
He did.
But like you said, Will and Kim don't realize this because right now Will is like, in what world do I look like I'm even tolerating this lunatic toddler? I already have a fair headache babysitting her, and now she thinks that she can look after me. He dropped something over there, some information that Lauren didn't know. And we have a little flashback to child Lauren and child Will. They're so cute and adorable on the same balcony, dressed up in fancy clothes, probably from a previous party. And Will's like, why is nobody listening to me? It's exactly what I said. So I don't know what he's talking about back like 10 years ago, but they're so cute.
That's the mood. What Will said, why is no one listening to me? It's exactly what I said.
Poor
I felt
Will.
that.
I feel that
felt
all
that.
the time, every single time. Like no one listens to me, and then I'm right. I'm like, dude,
I
I told you it was there. I told you.
I mean, what he's talking about something significant there, or it's just supposed to be like something random that happened back then, like a childish thing, or do you think it's significant to the plot?
I think it's just showing that the relationship hasn't changed much since you were kids. I think that's the point of that scene.
Lauren has been trolling him as well from the very beginning.
And Will has always been this way, cleaning up everyone else's messes.
She's even in the same position, with her hands crossed, leaning over the gate. Yeah, and Will seems to be like the kind of person who, right, like you said, cleaning up other people's messes, but also his will is overrun, like he's steamrolled, because here he's complaining that nobody listens to him. So it seems he's always been pushed aside and disregarded in terms of his personal desires.
Now his own person. I mean, like Will himself as a person is being pushed aside by his own family. Like he's living in his different life, and it's like now that only are they not listening to him, but they don't even see him.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this a lot during the scene. So Lauren picks up on what Will said, and he said, and she smirks at him, and puts her hand on her chin and says, "Oh, so she looked after you, huh?" Will just like freezes, and he's like stroking the banister with his eyes open. I think
he is definitely like considering that for a second. Like, wait, she did cheer me up. And then, oh my God, the Lord of the Rings, the reference.
All right then. Keep your secrets.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was from the Lord of the Rings. I read the books a million times when I was younger, but I haven't been into it since. So that's cool. Who said it in Lord of the Rings?
It was Frodo.
Okay.
He looked just like that too.
Yeah.
It was funny.
So yeah, she has a teasing look, and then she asks him, "What about that girl your father sent you to entertain? Nera Elena Darcy, right?" And again, just totally teasing him. It's really cute to see this banter between them and this affectionate relationship. Oh, but poor Will. Will sighs and bends his head down, just looks really downcast and says, "Well, apparently I am of marrying age, and she's from a noble family. What more can I say? I am nothing against her. She's lovely, but," and he like pinches his eyes. I feel so bad for him. He's like under so much pressure.
But you what? Will you what? You like someone else? I love that Lauren is just waiting for him to say it. She's just egging him on, and then he gets all serious. Yeah.
Because whenever he says, like, whether he denies it or not, she's gonna know the truth.
Yeah.
So she really wants to hear it.
I'm not even thinking that he's thinking like, "Oh, but I like Kim." I'm thinking, I don't like her. Like, that's what I'm thinking is going through his mind.
Yeah, that's
I'm not interested.
true. Like, he respects her, but it's like I just don't. I don't have. There's no spark. Maybe that's what he's saying, but he doesn't feel like he has the right to say it because it's just his obligation to marry her.
Yeah, even like in the next sentence, like Lauren, who is his friend and someone who's supportive of him, she's waiting for him to open up, but he can't even express himself that much to her. He just says nothing. He's constantly abnegating his will and suppressing his own desires, even to his best friend. That's extremely sad, where he's not able to stand up for himself, even to the people who actually love him.
And we're gonna get more onto that because, like, I think this scene coming up with Lauren and Will is going to be so important to the connection with like the tarot cards and stuff, and I'll explain more when we get to that panel.
Yeah, Lauren gives him this really, really concerned look, and she's now trying to push again the ship. She's like, "Okay, Will, but who really makes you feel like?" I do totally think she's plotting again, but now Will interrupts her and he says, "Lauren, I need to tell you something." And his face is shrouded in black now. So you can tell that he is not feeling that great. And this is a dark subject for him. And I am glad he's opening up to Lauren, and he is talking to her and with his own initiative. And he says, "Lately, I've been a little out of it. I thought you should know." And Lauren's looking at him, intently listening. And then he turns to her and he has this very poignant look in his eyes. And he says, "I saw Rafael." No. I know. I felt so bad for Will this whole episode. And I was like, poor Will.
Kind of funny because like he just found out about Rafael like not long ago, and he tells Lauren right away, and then Lauren has been hiding so much from him for months.
I know. Oh my god.
That's gonna sting.
I was really, based on like this whole conversation, I was like, Lauren, like, are you gonna tell him what you know about Rafael? We could discuss that, I guess, afterwards, what you think, if she's making the right choices. But anyway, so she opens up her eyes wide and she's like, "What? Where?" And he says, "I saw him at the circus a few days ago." He stops looking at her. And then she thinks to herself, the pianist, and she remembers the guy who looks like Will. And then she tells him if he's part of the Pantheon, it means he's been there for a while. Which, by the way, I'm just saying, like, theoretically, he could have seen him at the circus, like anywhere on the ground or in the crowd. But she right away...
Yeah, he didn't even see him at 50, what was it, 52 or whatever episode it was. He like didn't even, like, he was right there.
Yeah, Lauren kind of like, they, he didn't tell her that he was part of the circus. He just said he saw him at the circus, right? He could have theoretically been a guy at the crowd, but Lauren's basically revealing that she recognized that he was a circus member.
I think that that was supposed to be like a thought bubble rather than like, it might be an error, but it makes sense for it to be a thought bubble because it kind of follows back to him being the pianist and part of the pantheon. Because later on, like Will doesn't respond to that. He just starts talking about something else. Like he doesn't reply to what Lauren said about him being there for a while. Like he does tell her that, okay, he's been there for a while.
Yeah, I think that is her response to him being, to her saying that he was there for a while.
I think she's trying to push the topic. Maybe she's trying to put it in his head, like if he's part of the pantheon, hint, hint, it means that he's been there for a while. So it's like, maybe she's trying to reassure him that, like, even though it's not really reassuring, but he's alive, you know.
But there just seems like a little discontinuation there. Like nobody mentioned that Rafael is the pianist, but somehow like she talks about him being part of the pantheon, but doesn't explain that, okay, she also saw him but didn't realize that it's him. I don't know, just
she could have said like, oh yeah, I saw a piano player performing, or like she could have been so like smooth about it, but I don't know, Lauren.
Everyone does know that she was at the circus, so that could be an explanation. Maybe she didn't have to say, oh yeah, I recognize him, like, because at least they do know that she went to the circus. So
that's true.
She could also be saying that if he's part of the pantheon, it means that he's been there for a while, because Rafael has been gone so long. She might try to make it seem, she might have been trying to make it seem that like a pantheon position is the most like long, or most, I don't know, long-standing, I'm not sure that's the right word, the position that's existed for the most time. So like if he's been gone as long as he's been employed by the circus, he's probably a pantheon member.
Maybe to be like, well, I wonder how that works. If they're a pantheon member, then you have to be there for only so many years. Like that would mean that even like Zephyr and them they still look young, but then they would have to be in the pantheon for like a specific time. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so Will says, hard to believe, isn't it? 10 years later, not even once did he reach out. And he has a little smile on his face, but that's a very bitter statement.
Can we just appreciate for 1 second the side profiles of Will in this episode?
Mhm.
Because holy crap.
He's beautiful. And very sad. I mean, that's the first thing I think of, just sad, sad, sad. And I'm glad he's talking about his feelings, though. I'm glad he's expressing his anger and hurt to his friend. And he says he's probably been back in Artala City for years, for all I know. Not a single call, not a single letter. And then Lauren is thinking back to the messenger with the plague doctor mask, and how they saw him outside of the Camellia, that was called.
Yeah.
And how she noticed, she says, Rafael, she thinks to herself, sorry, Rafael had a tattoo on one of his wrists, just like the messenger. And, you know, we see like the little edge of the circus tent poking out of the messenger's sleeve, and she gulps. Now, my question is that, okay, it could be that Rafael is the messenger or a messenger, but what if Soph and Effort just trying to throw us off?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, we aren't entirely sure, but I guess it would make sense since Bella was also at Carmine, and she and Rafael are both.
I'm a firm believer
Pantheon
that the
members.
messenger is hot and it is Rafael.
Me too.
I've been fighting for that panel that she shows of him from the Carmine. I was always fighting people like, he's hot, and they're like, you don't even know what he looks like.
Oh,
I'm telling you. Because, okay, so weird enough, but like before it was revealed, when I saw that messenger, I was like, man, he gives off Will vibes. I was like, you know, it's just like the way that Soph draws people is like, she does it really well. And when you look at this, it's like Will and Rafael have both very similar body structures. It's just, I don't know. It's interesting.
There is actually a theory going around about Will being the messenger.
There was for a while. Yeah. But Will's
I'm
too innocent.
surprised if for some Rafael panels, Soph just uses like a Will head because I think she's done that
Just
before
changed it a
for
little bit.
Bella.
Yeah.
So somebody had on Discord had a theory. I can't read my handwriting, but the name was something with a bare minimum. Lily with a bare minimum. I don't know if you guys know.
Minnie?
Minnie, maybe? I don't know. Something with a bare
Oh,
minimum.
it might have been Minnie. Yeah.
So yeah, so she was saying, she was talking about the tattoo, how the tattoo placement might be important, and how Bella has a tattoo on her shoulder. They have the tattoo on the wrist, so maybe the wrist the tattoo would mean like maybe the location of the tattoo indicates their position or their task. And we noticed when Lauren bandaged Kieran in the cave that he had something on his shoulder. So people are speculating either it's like from that gunshot wound, or maybe it's a tattoo that he removed. Maybe he also had a circus tattoo and removed it.
Back when I was non-fast pass, I gave a few people in fast pass a minor heart attack because I theorized that the messenger was the pianist in the circus, because I was like, hey guys, you know how y'all were theorizing about how the tattoo is like a circus tent? Because this was like back in like Purple Garden, and then I was bringing it back on FS, and I was like, you guys know how you guys thought it was a circus tattoo, right? And you know how it's on the wrist. So what if the messenger is actually the pianist from the circus? Because a wrist in your hand and you're playing the piano. And I think I gave some people in Fast Pass a bit of a heart attack.
They were really quick on finding that tattoo and the connection with the tent. I remember I woke up and I was like, what is this big theory happening? And they were like, this is the tattoo. It's the circus tent. I think it was in Fast Pass and Purple Garden that when the season started, I said that Apollo was Will's gay brother. And now
Well, you might be right.
But now that I'm thinking about it, I was like, oh my God, what if Rafael was gay and he ran away because his dad didn't want him anymore? I was like, wait, what is sad?
But yeah, the 10 thing, that's so clever. I would have never made the connection by myself.
Yeah, it was really smart.
To me, when I saw the tattoo, I was like, okay, this is like a chainsaw edges, the only thing I could deduce from it, like a ship sail or something. Would never be able to tell what it was. Just that little sliver. But she doesn't tell him any of this. She just gulps and asks him, how did you react? And Will says, I lost it. When I saw him, I couldn't believe it, all these years since the ATST. Oh, then we get a flashback to child Will sleeping on a pillow with a letter next to him. And he says, I've hated him for leaving so abruptly, for leaving me behind. And then baby Will opens up the letter. It's so sad. And it says, but I've also missed him. He never told me why he left. And the letter says, I'm sorry, William. I don't even know where the train I am about to take will take me. I wish I could take you with me, but it is impossible. Wish you will one day find it in your heart to forgive me.
Honestly, that's sad. He didn't put any effort in the letter.
He should have left a purple hyacinth.
Can't even do this. You know what feels really weird about this letter? It feels like someone forced him to write it.
It feels very flat too, not very heartfelt.
That's what I'm saying, it's weird.
All the sentences start with I, I am sorry, I don't even know, I am about, I wish I could. And then the last one, the only sentence that doesn't start with I is, wish you will one day find it in your heart to forgive me. And that's a little bit sus. Why is it it's so stiff, sort of?
Yeah. And obviously
It's a real letter.
The end of this letter is kind of solidifying it for me that Rafael is doing everything against his will for some kind of reason. It's not something he wanted to do, because obviously he wouldn't ask for Will's forgiveness if he didn't think he deserved it.
And something that's a bit particular about the letter is, he starts it off with I'm sorry, and I think that's genuine. He regrets this. He regrets what's about to happen. But he says, I don't even know where the train I'm about to take will take me, which I think implies that he didn't buy the ticket and he doesn't know the destination. It's all like very under wraps. Like he actually does not
It was
know.
like a mission. Basically,
Mhm.
it's kind of like with Kieran. You don't get the details, you just do it.
Mhm. So someone else got the ticket and arranged it all for him. And then I wish I could take you with me, but it is impossible. Rafael probably has money that he was able to like squirrel away because their family is pretty rich. And um, so I don't think that they would have a lot of financial trouble because they would probably have quite a few like a lot of savings. But it would make sense if like Rafael was in the PS and it just wouldn't be safe to bring a kid in there. So I wish I could take you with me, but that is impossible. And it does show that Raphael still did care about Will, and if he could have, he would have taken him.
Yeah, he
That
just
last
wasn't
sentence, I think,
allowed.
shows that he wasn't planning, he didn't think he would see him again, because he doesn't say, oh, I'll see you in 10 years or something. He just says, wish you will one day find it in your heart to forgive me. Meaning there's no indication of like meeting up again. It seems like he thinks he's not going to see him again.
Raphael might be going into this thinking he's gonna die.
Yeah, basically because anyone who's in the Phantom Scythe doesn't get out alive.
Mhm. And I guess I understand why Raphael didn't face Will directly. Like, imagine having to tell the most important person in your life that you're leaving and you might die on this trip. So,
It probably would have been too emotional for him. And also he probably fears that he would break down and tell him where he's going. And that would be dangerous for Will and for himself.
that too. He wants to keep Will out of it, it seems. And like, if Raphael is the messenger and he is doing dangerous things like being in the Phantom Scythe, he would want Will to stay safe, and that means limiting what he knows.
So this is he's on the last train before the explosion, by the way.
Right. So yeah, let's look at it, because we do see that. And you see this image of young Will, racing along on his bike. And he says, I've understood him because growing up, I realized what he had fled, but I could never forgive him. And then we see the clock at the train station, and it's at like 9:45.
Yeah, 9:45-ish. It's because
And
the next
what was the time
wait,
at the next?
yeah. What was the didn't they say it was supposed to be 10, but it was delayed to 10:30, or was that it was supposed to be at 10:30, it was delayed? I don't
Is
remember.
that Allendale?
I think it was the final season that it says it.
Wait, did he leave from the Allendale train station or something?
Looks
Yeah,
like
I'm pretty sure it's the train right before the explosion.
Because the interior looks exactly the same as the one that was shown in episode 49.
Oh,
So
true.
And the
Oh,
sunshine is
damn.
the same, the clock's the same, everything's the same. Like, though it's just Lauren and Dylan
right.
aren't there, so that's why I thought it was like a different day. But so it looks like the Allendale. So the clock has already passed 9:40. Oh wait, no, never mind.
I wasn't sure, but the clock seems to be at like, I think you guys said this, 9:45 a.m.
Yeah, it looks like it's 9:45.
And so the stuff that happened was like in the 10-ish hours. So
It says departures between 10 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. will be delayed. So yeah, his train was the last one to go. His was probably like, 9:45 on the dot.
that
And then the
means
next
okay,
train was 10:45 a.m. and that's the explosion.
I'm worried for Will though, because he was crying in that train station.
He probably just dipped out after, like, just rode his bike and ran away. But I'm sure, like, I'm wondering if Rafael wondered. He had to end up hearing about the explosion. If he didn't know about it, he probably heard about it and then was like, oh my gosh.
Do you guys think that for a period of time, because Raphael saw Will at the train station. Do you think there was a period of time where Raphael thought Will was dead?
I think so.
yeah,
And
it would be.
imagine how guilty he felt, because he was the one who led Will out.
Yeah.
And then,
oh my gosh, no. Why is this so painful? You're making this worse.
that's what I always do, Shivii.
I know.
So yeah, let's dive into how awful it is, because baby Will is running after the train. The train is flying out of the station, And present day Will is narrating, and knowing he's been out there living his best life while mother all these years, I didn't even know if he was still alive. And then you see baby Will, he's tapping on the glass of the train, and then Rafael is there, and he's shocked to see him. He has the surprised look, and Will says, but that didn't stop me from thinking about all the things I wished I could tell him. And then Rafael puts his hand on the glass to parallel Will's hand.
Oh, it hurts.
Oh my gosh.
And the train horn is blasting, and then the train continues, and there's a whoosh, and baby Will is just looking after it, and the train is going, and he's just stopping, and then you see his face just wide-eyed looking after it, and he says, he used to be my hero when I was a kid. And then you see him crying on the bench in the train station. And you see, and from one day to the next, I had to start acting like he never existed, which is, we can talk about in a second. But then it looks like it's a shot of Rafael in the train crying.
Oh, I did not even know that. I thought it was Will.
I thought it was.
Wait, oh, I thought
know.
it was Will too, because it looks like his.
It looks
hand,
like he's
right?
still outside though, but I don't know.
It looks like
You
the
know what?
sleeve of his arm.
Yeah, wait, was Rafael wearing black? Oh yeah, he was.
I just scrolled up to see he's also wearing black.
I guess
It is probably Rafael, and that's kind of the panel of the window.
That's what I thought. But the truth is, I realized it could also be his Will in his hand.
Oh,
Whatever.
yes,
I'm gonna go with Rafael because that's more sad.
That is more sad. Oh my god.
Well, even when the train was leaving, he does look kind of upset. Like, it's hard for him to do this.
Because he has to see Will one more time now, and he already thought that he was done. Like he saw Will one last time when he gave him that letter, and then when he sees him again, he wasn't prepared for it. Like all those feelings just came back.
Oh my
That
god.
hurt look in his face, that devastation where Will knows that he's leaving him.
Yeah. I love that he mentions hero, like Kim with Dana. Like Will and Kim both see their siblings as heroes, but not anymore.
Ouch. This was supposed to be a party episode.
Yeah, hold
Whiplash.
up. No, I came into this chapter like expecting so many fun Darcy scenes. I got one, and then I got slapped in the face with this angst. What the hell?
With past angst.
This beautiful, brilliant angst.
Yeah. What is interesting is when he says, I've never seen my father angrier and my mother so brokenhearted. So like, here come the theories, you guys, because, I feel like there's one side that everyone thinks Will's dad is in the Phantom Sites, and then there's the other side that doesn't. And then there's me and Fwoot, like, Josephine's an apostle.
Look, I think she's been apostle for months now. Like,
Yeah.
she's given me sus vibes.
So what my thing with this panel is Will's a child. It's from his point of view. If Stefan is angry, maybe he's angry because Rafael decided to jump ship and go on the Phantom Sites to try to save his mom and heal her because his name, Apollo, is healing. So maybe Rafael's reason for taking on this life or death mission was to some way save his mother before she could die. Before she would die.
Josephine doesn't look ill in this panel. Do we
But
know
I think he
how long
knew. But I think he knew that she was sick.
Oh.
Because he didn't look shocked when Will told him. And either that's because Raphael's already been visiting her, or he already knew before he left. Because like he would have looked shocked if when he said Will or mom's dying, she's ill, he would have looked surprised otherwise. So
I think he was masking his face very strongly during that whole encounter with Will. That's the impression I got also.
yeah, he
Yeah,
did
I
look
agree.
surprised for a second. Yeah, and then he was just like, he's learned to put on the mask. So
Maybe also he could be asking about them. I don't know who he would ask, but they're like a noble family, so it might be easy to find news about them. And he found out that his mother's dying. So to him, it's not news anymore.
yeah, and if we were going off base that Josephine was an apostle, so if she was, she would be considered dead, I would assume, because of her illness, or maybe she was just let go, and because of that, like she had to be replaced in some way. And as like not blackmail, but maybe blackmail. Like, so that's why Rafael's in the Phantom Scythe.
This is just random, but I want to make some comments on their clothes and then again about Will's POV. So starting with Stefan, I think he's wearing the APD uniform, like the APD vest, and then
He
like
was the chief at the time, which is weird.
Yeah, he's the chief, but like I like the sort of continuity, and it makes sense. He
Yeah.
is wearing an APD
I honestly thought
uniform.
it was Will for a second before I kind of took in the rest of the panel.
And then Josephine, because of the lighting, her dress looks black, but I think it's more of a navy since the cuffs are a lighter blue. But if it was a black, it's like a morning gown.
She looks so distressed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It probably
And
doesn't help
then-
her illness.
And then this does show us how Josephine and Stefan react to serious issues, like tragic issues. Stefan lashes out in anger, whereas Josephine just breaks and
Yeah.
cries. So
And that is
thing
not
is
helping her
that-
either.
yeah, that's a yikes from me, Chief.
Yeah. It's bad.
What's also like so unhealthy is that they apparently chose to decide that to pretend he never existed, which is such an unhealthy way of dealing with a situation, to just
Mhm.
cut off like his existence. That's super painful.
Like it was so disgraceful of the family that it's not even that he died, it was that he just doesn't exist anymore. But Will still has to act like he's Rafael anyway, so it's like, it's ironic.
Mm-hmm. And then like we don't see any of their faces, and I find that really interesting because the faces is really where we see their emotions, and we don't see anyone's face in this panel. And because it is from Will's perspective, he doesn't know what's happening with his parents, again, like with them not being able to see his face. Josephine has her hands like covering her face, and then Stefan has his back turned to us, and it does really seem just closed off to us and Will. So I just found that really interesting.
But their
But-
body language is kind of suggesting
Mhm.
how they like Stefan does seem angry and she does seem very heartbroken. So
It seems like they know that he joined the Phantom Scythe. That's what I get when I see this. It's like they just know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Especially if Josephine is like
And she feel
in
it looks
council
like
too, and she understands the
it's like,
risk.
oh, it's my fault. That's what it looks like when I look at her. It's like, oh my god, it's my fault. My son left.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and that's maybe why she like thinks that Will is Rafael.
Yeah, and she's
Because-
just so
yeah.
attached to Rafael and like trying to make amends because she feels sorry. I'm waiting for
Mhm.
that moment when she like starts apologizing to Will, but she thinks it's Rafael or something, and then it exposes something.
Yeah.
Whoa, that would be
Oh, God.
so
God.
crazy.
No, I
Oh
can
my
see
God.
Josephine like apologizing, because if she was like an apostle, she would have helped create the Phantom Scythe, and if she thought that she lost one of her sons to it, she would literally blame it on herself. She would be like, the Phantom Scythe is my fault. I helped build it, and
Yeah.
this is the consequences for my actions, and one of my sons is now gone. And so by seeing Will as Raphael, she thinks that like she's trying to repent, sort of like
It's that
he came back for her.
that
It's gonna be all
burden.
right.
That makes sense now, because if someone who is ill and their brain is only remembering certain things and it's only putting them in like one perceptive or like one perception because something is telling them to get that burden off their chest. It's kind of like the same example or concept of someone dying and a ghost still haunting. But
Mhm.
it's like Josephine obviously has things to say to Raphael, and if she says these things to Will, and I think this would be something that could definitely happen.
Mhm.
Hopefully she
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
pass away. I'm really hoping that she is alive long
I
enough
have
for
a
the Kiwi
feeling she
wedding.
will. I mean, they did give her like 1 or 2 months to live, right? So
I
Yeah.
I think
have
she will
faith.
pass.
Which
I
is-
have
could be like
faith.
40 episodes.
Yeah.
I hope she and Raphael get to reunite, because maybe it's like right before she dies, but I want Will.
Both
I
of them
don't want-
together.
I don't want her to see Will as Raphael right before she goes. I think
neither.
I want her to see Will as Will, and for Raphael to actually come back to her.
If she saw both of her sons in the same room, Oh my gosh. Should be like
Sad.
Rafael.
Mine would break.
Two Rafaels. Will would snap you.
Oh my god.
Hmm.
But I could totally see the image of like Rafael, like, you know, at his mother's funeral, like when it's too late to even go see her
No.
one last time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We
Hiding in the
also
bed.
were talking about if Josephine did get healed by Raphael. Okay, this is going off base if Raphael has the Itachi curse, meaning, you know, he was a spy or, you know, he was good but ended up dead. So, but if Josephine did live and got to see like the Kiwi wedding and it was because of Raphael, I would sob.
Rafael's gonna play for them at their wedding.
Oh my gosh. True happiness that we will not get.
Yeah.
We all
Readers'
can
tears, that's what we're
dream.
getting.
Mhm.
We can dream.
Gosh, even if we do see that wedding, I'm pretty sure they're gonna slide some angst in there. Like we can't just
yeah.
have like peaceful episodes.
You know, also though, like as a Kiwi fan, I would be totally fine if Will introduced Kim to Josephine before she passed, and then they like get married right there in front of her. Like, let's just do it. And they just jump, you know what I mean? Kiwis kind of like those people, you know, they jump for it and do it. Whereas Lucky is kind of
Like me, like that.
slow.
Kim. Oh.
The next time Loki like even acknowledges the other as a friend, they're gonna be in their 90s.
Yeah,
They're
It's
taking their
really
sweet time for sure.
Mhm.
Well, Lauren tries to comfort Will, and she puts her hand on his shoulder and she pats him and she says, "Hey, anyone in your position would have collapsed long ago." And Will at this point, like he's staring down over the banister, he's leaning down, his hands are crossed. He's a little bit broken at this point and just contemplative and like really wrapped up in himself. And Lauren is trying to build him up and, comfort him. And she says, "If I ever bump into him, I'll beat him up."
You're
Which
gonna
of course,
vibe check him.
Lauren, I would love to see it.
I
Thank you.
want
Yes,
this so
for
bad.
sure. I've been saying this for months, but I need somebody to beat Rafael up.
Can Kim do it, please? I just want to see Kim vibe checking Raphael.
I like how it's Lauren's like hand, like she taps his shoulder and says like, "Hey," and that's what pulls him out of the flashbacks. Like the Lawi friendship is thriving.
Mm.
and she says something, that line that she says, she probably meant it, but it also cheers him up. He laughs and he says, "Please don't do that, haha." So, it does help him, and humor sometimes helps people get out of their funk. And she says, "Will, look at me. I'm proud of you, She gives him a smile and like adjusts his collar. And she says, "You were a little rascal when we were playing together, haha." And then there is a flashback of them as children, and Dylan's there too. So they apparently all played together, which we did not know until now.
Finally, it's confirmed.
It's been a long question
And
of
they
ours.
played in
F.
Rachel's
Okay.
garden.
F and Soph, thank you so much.
By the way, I just reread The Secret Garden over Saturday because I wanted to know what was going on. And I also borrowed these books from the library, The Killing Joke and
Ooh.
The Man Who
I've
Laughed.
never actually read any of them, so
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I took it out specifically. I just read this. It is absolutely sick and gross. But anyway, I want to maybe make a separate episode. When we get to that episode of the podcast, I want to talk about it extensively. And I also borrowed, apparently this book is based on, The Man Who Laughed is based on Victor Hugo's book, The Man Who Laughed, like a French book. So I had that on hold. And anyway, from the summary that I read, I already think I know why it relates to this story. But anyway, the authors that were listed in the episode were actually the Batman authors, not Victor Hugo. But I'll read it anyway, just to have the full background.
Right.
But anywho, so garden, yes, they mentioned. I was thinking that the garden, Rachel's garden that's mentioned, might also be related to The Secret Garden. So,
Speaking of the garden, when they said that Will and Lauren used to play in the garden, like I kind of thought of Rachel and Alex, and then Will's mother doing like Phantom Sky stuff while their kids are playing.
Yeah, like a
Having
pop
little
stuff,
meetings.
Yeah.
being super suspicious.
That's funny.
Gosh, we don't let a single detail go without like trying
The
to
Rosenthal
scrutinize
too,
it.
right?
Rosenthal is the leader theory.
Yeah, I still think he's the
intensified.
leader, dude. He's so suspicious.
So, but then we have like Lauren showing Stefan's snobbery because she says, but even back then your father didn't want you to become too close to people who weren't as high perched on the social hierarchy as him. What a snob. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
What a boomer.
I need someone to
she's
tell
like, mhm.
Stefan, okay, boomer, and then just leave.
Like, and the son of the gardener even less. He made sure to verify the visits. So apparently Lauren, I think Lauren is the one who isn't as high in the social hierarchy, and the son of a gardener is even less. So apparently Lauren is not as noble as Will.
Have you
Okay.
seen Will's piano room? I mean, it's bigger than her whole, like, Sinclair Manor. Like,
Mhm. Also, the Sinclairs, it does seem like from last chapter that they aren't originally from Artalis, or like they do come from like out of town. So it could be
Yeah.
that they're new to town. So
I think F said they're pretty wealthy, but like they've always been wealthy.
yeah, they're old money, but not to the level of Hawk old money.
yeah.
And I guess being in a new city, I guess since they moved from out of town, like that would they're not as established as the other families.
Yeah. And being
And then she
lawyers, like
praises him.
This is
sorry,
the panel I was talking about. That's really important, I think.
Mhm.
This is gonna convince Will to get on her side because she's telling him, you know, look at yourself now. You've grown into a strong, resilient, brilliant man. You've stood up for your mother admirably, and no matter what happened, your kind heart never changed, and that's incredible. So I think him seeing Lauren being honest with him and like believing in him and saying, you know, be you, Will, that's gonna help get him on her side.
He's definitely listening intently. Oh,
Why don't you
but-
take some of this advice herself about like, changing
Right.
changing how she's living? Because like, girl, you ate one blueberry
She
and
literally
decided that was enough nutrition for like 50 episodes. What are you doing with your life?
she's
She's
like,
photosynthetic.
this is the most hypocritical thing, and this can't keep going on indefinitely, Will. It's like you have to stop living for somebody else. You hear me? Okay, Lauren, you tell it to yourself. Please.
Mhm.
Oh, but I'm glad she is saying that. And the funny thing is, Will says, he says you're right. But then a second later, he's like, we should head back inside before they actually think where you actually ran away. So like, he's like, yeah, you're right. I should live for myself. Let me go back inside where I'm expected to be at the party because everyone expects you to be at the party. Like,
Yeah.
he did not learn that lesson.
But the you're right isn't a lie either. So it's like, I think
Mhm.
he's just like, you're right. But then he also realizes, like, how the hell am I supposed to do that?
Yeah.
To stand up for himself. Not everyone has that ability. It's hard to stand up to your parents.
It's hard to just like change like that. And Will seems like someone who's already gone through so much change that he's terrified of more, and he just wants to have some kind of normal path.
Interesting. That's very interesting, right? Maybe even though he doesn't love his family that much, maybe it's better than no family.
Right.
Mhm.
Not to say he doesn't love his family. Sorry, that's not true. Sometimes you can love people even if they don't treat you right. So yeah, that would be hard.
And then like also we should head back inside before they think we actually ran away. And then Lauren says, it's not too late for that, foreshadowing. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
I just think that Lauren's gonna end up running away. She's gonna leave the city.
I don't like running away as like an ending because it feels like you're just running away from your problems.
Well, it wouldn't be running away, it would be faking their deaths.
Maybe temporarily. I don't see that as like the climax of the story, because the climax of the story would be the resolution of like the PS and the the kingdom and the problems. And
I honestly don't think it's gonna get solved at
If
all.
if Loon doesn't come back this season, like around the end, because I have heard rumors that it may be over like 70 episodes, um I do hope that Loon comes back for the climax, and it's like the first time that we see like the two don the hats again, and they're like Loon is back in business, and
Yeah.
it's just how the episode ends, and it would be so powerful.
I like the running away thing because when we come down to it between Lauren and Kieran, and obviously it's going to be Will and Kim that are going to be part of this. So they're all going to have money on their heads. They're all going to have bounties, even if the city's saved. And I just don't, there's just no, maybe Lauren, but there's just no way that they can not end up in jail or prison. So they'd have to fake their deaths and like her parents and run away.
But then wouldn't the story feel a bit unresolved? Like we don't know what's going to happen next. They've got the money. Yeah, they're running away, but they could be found later on. So you would want to tie up the story neatly, and I don't think that running away, not with a bounty on their heads, not really knowing what's going to happen next would be very satisfying, because it sort of implies that there's still so much story to be told that we'll never really get.
Well, like if they have faked their deaths, then the bounties don't matter anymore. But if someone like Dakan was in charge of the city now, and he says that, Lauren, there's only one way out of this, and it's you not being here. You know, you can't live in the city, obviously. So it's like maybe Dakan helps her escape or whatnot. But obviously things aren't going to be resolved politically. Things are always going to be a problem, and more issues are going to come to fruition. So I don't think the story itself is going to have like a nice bow wrapped up. There's just going to be a lot of leftover stuff that other people have to deal with that Loon gave them, and Lauren, Kieran, Kim, or Will, or all of them, whoever's alive, probably will have to leave. I just don't see them living in the city after all this.
I don't really like the message that it leaves us with, sort of like, because they did technically do the right thing, and then this is their consequence. This is what they get for, doing the right thing. Because what does that say to the audience? Like, you stand up, you yeah, but it's supposed, it can be a tragedy at times, but it does know when to keep things lighthearted. Ending us off on a tragedy where, for doing the right things, our heroes have to leave everything that they've ever known behind. It's not really.
Well, okay, I think you're seeing it in a wrong way, though. I feel like we're in fan theories right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I understand what you were saying, because like you're kind of seeing it as a half glass empty kind of situation. But I do understand what you're saying, because like they deserve praise. They deserve a happy life. They deserve to like being able to be in their own, city and living their life and growing old and whatnot. But I also don't think that they're going to want to. Maybe Lauren would. I know for sure Kieran isn't going to want to live there. But what came to me was the tarot cards. So for instance, death was predicted. And based on what her choice is, it's going to be, the result of death, meaning new opportunities. And putting the past behind you, and maybe putting the past behind Lauren, is completely putting it behind her and leaving.
So I'm also I don't think that
would be how precarious, because you don't want it to be you don't want it to be where they're abandoning all their problems left, like, completely.
Right. And it's not like they couldn't come back too, or it's not like she couldn't have communication with the people that she loves or whatnot. Maybe Lauren will travel. I just don't think she'll stay in the city, after it's all
she's
over.
got a whole career ahead of her. It doesn't.
I think she'll either be like a private detective. I get that vibe.
But what about Kim?
Yeah, I don't see her staying in policing.
She won't be a police. She'll be a private detective. Kieran,
I don't know if you guys can tell, it's very obvious, but I don't vibe with the ending. With that theorized ending, it's not one of my favorites.
Yeah, I would rather have it over the most popular ending of Kieran dying.
Same.
I don't want that ending at all.
I mean, I don't know. Like, Kieran dying gives me the same vibes as Lauren leaving. This is punishment for your actions.
But I see it as Lauren, it's healthy for Lauren, because like coming from my own experience, living in the same place for so long, and then like around her age was when I left. I completely just dropped everything and explored the world, just like went out and did other things. And I'm not saying that she won't come back. It's just I think Lauren needs to get out of Pardalis. Like she just needs a break from all of this because she's been doing this digging and investigation for so long that it's like she needs a vacation.
Yeah, but she should probably do it on her own accord, not because people are out for blood and out for her blood specifically.
Yeah, it would just work because, well, like it would work at that time to let them simmer. You know what I mean? To let things calm down. But I don't think people are gonna be mad or vicious about Loon. I think Loon's gonna be perceived as like a blessing.
I mean, hey, maybe if we're lucky, then Miss Nera Elena Darcy will end up at like, the top of the government.
Hopefully, because I'm thinking because the council is the ones that have the word. And unfortunately, even though things are unfair, I'm thinking of it in a realistic point of view that the council says, we're not putting them in prison. The purple hyacinth is getting off scot-free. There's all these pros and cons to it. So, choose a side, choose a decision. What do you want to do? And it's like, okay, we'll go away for a while and then I'll come back or something.
I don't know. And
oh my god, we're gonna be on this all night. Let's
go back to the
party. Okay, I just want to say, when they introduce that sweet democracy into Artalis, I hope Darcy ends up as like the prime minister or president or whatever title they go by.
I want Darcy and Vala to just roll together.
Shivii, your theory is interesting, and I do like the fact that like I'm also somebody who left my community and like traveled and left went to a whole different continent when I was like 19, but I don't see that as being a good story resolution for all the reasons Fwoot was saying, because the story has issues. What's the issues? Lauren's obsession with the past, and the injustice in Artalis, and those are the two big issues in the story, and they need to be wrapped up in order for the story to feel complete. So I would see that the end of the story would resolve the injustice in Artalis and the whole issue with Lauren's past simultaneously, and would end with some kind of something being resolved, whether the political structure changes, a war, rebellion, something.
Like the hierarchy is gone, or like the phantom size is gone. Like there's obviously a new page being flipped here.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would feel like the story, like you said, is unfinished, and the main problem in the story is just still a problem. And for some tragedies that is the case, right? Like there are stories that are written as tragedies where the whole point of the story is to show that human nature is terrible and like nothing can change and things will always be bad. But I don't think that this is that kind of story. There might be some sadness and some tragedy, but I don't think that overall the message will be a defeatist one.
And just the story does tackle like the problem of sort of running from your problems, and we see that with Will. So I just don't think that we would see Lauren, Kieran, Cam, and Will leaving Artalis, because it could seem to the audience that they are running from their problems, and that problem would be a bounty.
I would hate that if like they didn't succeed and they have to run away. That would it's exciting, but it's also like, damn it, that's not.
Maybe they do succeed, but at the expense of their own freedom, I guess, that they're no longer free to stay in their own.
And that's an own lesson on itself, because that is a valiant sacrifice, and people have done that in the past who are heroes, so
it's like more realistic, I guess.
Told, and I'm just trying to see it as a realistic point of view. I think things will be resolved, but obviously when a new page is flipped, there's always going to be new problems. So I feel like Purple Hyacinth is going to show us that it's a happy ending and that things are yay new, but also like, but they're never perfect.
Right. Mindy, we can't hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
So now, Will and Lauren are headed back, and they're counting down to the new year. We have 3, 2, 1, and you see a bunch of glasses being raised. And it says Happy New Year. And then you see Kim's family. They're all embracing in their living room. Very sweet. And then we see our little Kiki just sitting there in his room, drawing, staring out the window with boxes and boxes around him.
Gosh, that room depresses me.
What do you think is
doing anything else on New Year's Eve? other than sitting in that room and drawing. I just can't see him doing anything.
He needs a slap in the face.
Poor dude.
But like it's not that bad. Like if he's drawing, it means that he has something fueling his humanity. So I don't know, I see it as a win. Like it's a good thing that he's drawing.
When Kieran's drawing, I think it is a good thing. So he's content.
What do you think are in those boxes before we like continue with the rest of the scene? Do you think
I thought it was art
I
from the
guess.
very
Yeah.
beginning, honestly.
Yeah, drawings.
All
There's
drawings.
a lot of drawings. Do you think there's
All
also some
drawings.
files there, case files, or
That's what I'm saying, guys. Like
Documents.
64, or what is it, 64? It's the panel of the vertical panel of his room, and it's so depressing because you think, oh my god, that's probably like every drawing from when he first started, and all those memories are just in these boxes, and it's so sad.
a lot of drawings though. I wonder if any of that is like important information that he maybe like to build up a case against the leader or something.
There's probably drawings of Dylan in there. Like, great, love this.
He's
Maybe
probably
someone-
the type that can't bear to throw away anything, so he keeps away every single drawing he does.
Yeah, I'm like that too, though.
But yeah, but he doesn't seem super sad in this picture. Like he just seems relaxed
Yeah.
in this picture.
Pensive.
Yeah.
This is why Kieran could never like do art commissions because he would get too attached to his art and refuse to sell it.
That's true.
So he's looking up at the window and he's looking at the moon, which by the way is French and is loon.
Just to mention really quick, does anyone know what year this was? Is it 2019 that Soph was basing the year off of the calendar? Does anyone remember?
I think it's I think it's 2019.
Okay, I was just looking at the moon. I looked at the moon phases when Loon first met, and it's accurate, but like, well, it's just like the days on this comic. It's not accurate. So, all right, continue. I'm sorry.
So and the sweet thing is that you see a shot of just the moon, and then you see Lauren looking at the same moon. Aww, the two loon members are looking at the moon. They are connected people. They are soulmates. Okay,
We love
And
them.
it's just coincidence that it's just coincidence that the moon is right in front of the window and Lauren can't sleep.
She could have been looking at the ceiling, but she's supposed to look at the moon, so.
I mean, the moon would technically be the brightest thing, and just by like human nature, your eye would be
Your
drawn
eye
to it
would-
most because it
God
is the
damn it,
brightest thing.
Fwoot, stop.
It also makes sense with Kieran. Like that is the brightest thing in that room. He doesn't have his lamp on.
You're gonna
so,
make all
you
the
know.
shippers cry.
oh, Fwoot.
That
No,
is
no,
really my
because-
favorite hobby. Okay.
If this was real life, yes, but this is a story, and people, and the story has people behind it, and Soph and F have staged this so that we know that they're staring at the same moon. It's not real life; it's a story.
Exactly.
And it's
There's a meaning
confirmed.
behind it.
They're gonna get together eventually. It's confirmed.
Wait, is it
We're
confirmed?
trying. Yes. Yeah, same
Really?
with Kiwi.
Wait,
Yeah, they're both confirmed.
really? Because I did see a question about. Okay, I saw something related, but I never saw this confirmed.
There's also
Like,
the question about the kiss, which I've said eventually you will see who kisses who first.
great, I can go to sleep happy.
We all said it's Lauren, but I'm just gonna say Kieran just because F probably thinks that we're all gonna say Lauren.
Sorry, the couple kissing first is Dakistan.
Well, no, yeah, like the first
I
couple,
wouldn't mind.
but F was talking about between Loki, like who would kiss first, Lauren or Kieran. But yeah, Dakistan, I would love that as a
How did not
person.
know that they confirmed that? It like changes everything because I was still in the back of my mind thinking maybe that they could just be a good friendship.
Now, F said that there is romance. It's just drama, tragedy, mystery romance. But F
Is
said
it-
that she
Is it
does.
low key romance or is it like
She said
know,
it's slow
Kiwi
burn. It's definitely going to spice up. Season 3 is probably going to be a lot of fan service.
And
Because
she did
things
say
are
it's her
gonna be working
favorite
together.
ship too.
Yeah.
So Lucky.
Yeah.
okay? Thank you for informing me of this.
You're welcome.
So anywho, Lauren is lying there in bed, which by the way, the last time, okay, not exactly the last time, but one of the times we've seen Lauren lying in bed was in Kieran's house, just saying, okay?
That was the last time she slept. No, I'm just kidding.
Congrats on Lauren for being somewhat able to be in the vicinity of a bed. She's not
Yeah.
sleeping, unfortunately. And she
bet
didn't eat earlier either, but
Yeah, she didn't eat at all.
Well, she's
Poor
going to
thing.
drink now, so at least she's not going to drink. But let's just say I'm going to speculate that the best sleep she ever had was at Kieran's house. Just saying.
But
she's great.
From what we've
people.
seen so far, it does seem that way.
it's because you sleep in a smaller house compared to like a big giant house.
It's because of Kieran's scent on that pillow
Oh,
and
yes.
sheet. Hello.
Oh my god. Oh,
Definitely
Mindy, you're
that.
giving me flashbacks to like toxic shippers. Oh my god.
It's not
Well, I
toxic.
mean,
What's toxic
well,
about this?
Actually, with 37 though, I mean, their sexual tension was already built up quite a bit. So like
Mhm.
that's not
Oh, yeah, definitely.
unrealistic to think about as well, you know, when she's like, what the hell am I doing here?
That it was
It would have been toxic if it was after, you know.
Yeah.
yeah, that
That would
part.
have been toxic. Like, yikes.
If I could, I would. There were so many just inappropriate comments in that episode. I just want to like burn the comment section alive.
It is terrifying.
Yeah, so I think you were the one who wrote about it today, right? You wrote this long piece about it. Comment. Somebody wrote it today and it posted in the Discord. I totally agreed. Discord? No, it was on Facebook. It was on Instagram. Someone posted a whole thing about really like dumb comments. And that's something I actually noticed when I started reading webtoons is that people talk in very exaggerated tones. I was used to like more moderate, like kind of like saying what you feel, but then I realized people talk very exaggeratedly. So I think that's like where a lot of that comes from. But yeah, a lot of it is like really unhealthy, like the comments.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just
I
that
think-
shipper mentality, like from Voltron. I don't know if
Oh,
you know
God.
about the Voltron fandom,
Dear
but
Lord.
basically, like
Oh,
the
no.
shippers
Honest.
for Voltron are a terrifying army, and they go above and beyond. So
Yeah, I think it was Had who made that post, Hadzi, but
mhm.
Fan Theories has discussed this issue thoroughly multiple
Many
times.
times. And it isn't just 43, it is also 73.
And I don't even know how that happened.
The webtoon comments scare me. I think that's like
Like there's a time and a place, you know?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, can you thirst and not be toxic later down the road? Will Kieran throw his shirt off and we get a whole bunch of fan service and you want to scream about it and it's appropriate? Hell yeah, then go ahead. But it's like not when he's hung up on chains. Please.
Mhm. Stop trying to make the trauma sexy. Thank you very much.
I do think that is a thing though. I mean, like I've mentioned this before, like I've always had a thing for abused, tortured people. And there's something called torture porn. And I've realized like I personally don't watch violent stuff, but like that's definitely something that's a common theme. And I did think of it as like the when I saw that here, that is something like obviously it was a small amount and it's there to give us a background of what he experienced. But I think it does. I mean, I know I personally I find that very compelling and it's not healthy. Like, and I've said this before, like I realize like in real life, when you meet people who come from an abused background, it's very like it usually leaves a lot of scars emotionally that are difficult to deal with. But yeah, I understand the appeal to that.
I feel like for Kieran, it definitely wouldn't be, but I've stated this before. I wrote a huge thing. I think it was with Minnie. We were talking about Kieran and like how he's not a little wimpy, guy. He's very strong, resilient. For Kieran, if he was a normal guy and he wasn't a purple hyacinth, like I could see that maybe he would have a kink. Anyone could, and that's it, obviously when they have normal lives. But Kieran, who was like he was brought on by this, like he's been living with this torture for so long. It's like I imagine if in any kind of intimate or sexual situation, it would definitely trigger him and it would be bad.
Who thought he would have a sexual like kink for that?
Okay.
No, I
to
don't
keep
think
this
he
more
wouldn't.
PG-13. I think it's
wouldn't-
best if we move on and then maybe pick up
Yeah,
this
it's-
discussion once the recording is done.
basically all I wanted to say was I feel like it would just be very traumatizing for him. So it's like when people sexualize 73 specifically, it's such a disrespect to his character.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah.
So Lauren apparently can't fall asleep, which I guess is her issue a lot, and says maybe a glass of water will miraculously make me fall asleep. And she sighs. Seems like she has to deal with insomnia. And she is walking downstairs to get a glass of water. And she says, oh, I thought everyone left. What are they doing up at this hour? Then we see Dakan and Tristan sitting together on a couch, having a comfortable, cozy conversation. They're sitting, the fireplace is there, they're on the couch together. They're not cuddling, oh well, but they are close together. And they're having a serious conversation. And I was very excited to see this because we get a lot of information from here. And Dakan says they're all so stubborn and their ego so inflated that they simply refuse to accept reality. No matter what I do, no matter how many chances they're given, they barely concede to anything and side with the queen almost inevitably. Philip may wear the crown, but the reins are in Lisbeth's hand, which is what we suspected before, that Lisbeth is really the one running the show. And he's extremely frustrated. He's like, am I right hand for anything at all? So it seems he's really trying his best to get the country's government to change and to, it seems, take the complaints of the people seriously. And he's just running against a brick wall.
I'm just gonna say, two bros chilling on a sofa, no feet apart because they are gay.
Can we just look at Tristan's if anyone's listening, when he says Philip may wear the crown, but the reins are in Lisbeth's hands, am I right hand for anything at all? Tristan's look here when he's looking at Dakan is like the husband who would do absolutely anything in the world for his husband. Like Tristan would burn the world for Dakan. I can see that's like the face I get when I see Tristan there. He's like, I'll do anything for you.
And
About burn the world, because that's like a very bad thing to do, but he definitely looks very concerned.
Yeah. Well, we've also made in the past with like Doc and Beth, like Dakan and Elizabeth burning the city to the ground.
What's quite particular about this conversation is that there are no lies. All of this is the truth.
Yeah.
Because this is from Lauren's perspective, she is overhearing them. So this is a yikes for me. And it does make me trust Dakan and Tristan a little more. I do have that theory that they're like an older, more middle-aged, gayer version of Loon with less jumping across rooftops and more doing more like actual
More
digging.
communication.
Yeah. So this does make me think that like that theory might be true.
And so also, like, I don't know why or how Dakan knows that the Fans of Scythe is, obviously his spy. So like, if we're going by that Will is the spy, then he would be the spy that's part of the operation that's going to be happening sooner than later, aka 7 overthrowing, which is what Dakan says, the storm is stirring, meaning that he knows, meaning that the spy could probably be in the 7th operation.
So you know what, let's finish the conversation and like, I guess, do all the theorizing at once. So yeah, so there, Tristan tries to comfort him. He sees the distress that Dakan is in, and he says, you spent all of your time as right hand advocating for the betterment of this country. And, he pats him on the back and he says, trying to open their eyes. Even you can't fight alone against an entire cabinet of ministers. So it seems like nobody else in the government is really advocating for the people except for Dakan. Oh, that's sad. And Dakan is just concerned. He says, but now it's coming just like 10 years ago. The storm is stirring. Only this time, the Phantom Scythe has had an entire decade to grow in power, which, by the way, makes me think that he's not in the Phantom Scythe.
That too.
And he says it's no longer just a handful of people ready to blow up a train station, which is like, that was like hundreds of people killed, and tie up a dead man to be heard. It's ready for so much worse. And then we focus on the fire. And then ever since the Avastars ordered the assassination of those poor people, and like the fire is just getting stronger, whoosh, they signed their own demise. And then again, the crackle.
Called it.
Called it.
I was screaming when I saw that part. When I read that, I was like,
I can't believe we're finally getting confirmation after so long.
I literally thought,
still, you go say your thing, but I have a thing to say afterwards.
yeah, I thought I thought the theory was dead. I thought it was just like, the Phantom Scythe doing their thing and doing the massacre at Orion, but I was right. And yeah,
I think
I'm
it's
very
super
proud.
possible. I think it's 100%. That's what this sentence sounds like. But I'm also suspicious of Soph and F, and I think they might be wanting us to think that, and then maybe it's something totally different. Because it just says those poor people. Who are those poor people? I mean, it makes sense that it would be the Orion massacre, but who knows?
I think it's
Well-
Orion and then other massacres that happened. Like I think Orion was just like the Phantom Scythe apostles are the survivors from Snapdragon. I think there's something also before Snapdragon that it's just kind of like the numbers just kept dwindling.
I mean,
as
there were
we
other
report.
socialist groups before, right? And like what happened to them? That's been one of the questions. And my theory was that it was the royals who got rid of them. And yeah, I was right.
Right. The
seems
Orion and
like-
Sons was just like the spark that triggered the Phantom Scythe, and it was like the end of it. It was like they were fed up because like they got the pamphlets, they were ready to revolutionize, they were ready to spread the word, and then
they were spreading the word. It was
Yeah,
was
but-
XX14,
yeah,
and then they were massacred in early
but
XX
it's
16
but it seemed
or
like it
or
seemed like
17.
whatever they were printing didn't make it where it was supposed to go. I think their pamphlets and flyers and everything they were advocating for or something they were setting up didn't get done because they were obliterated before then. And it also made me think that maybe Elizabeth was involved with Lauren's parents' death, even though Sandman says it was the leader's decision.
Yeah.
I still feel like the royals are kind of part of the betrayal here that Lauren is
Mhm.
going to find out.
I don't know. I'm just ecstatic that a theory that I thought was pretty much dead is still alive. But I am sad that Dakan didn't say the Spy Master was dead, because that would be my confirmation that the Sake theory was right.
Oh my gosh. No.
Look, I'm not letting go of that theory till someone explicitly says that Stake isn't the Spy Master or or the actual Spy Master identity is revealed.
I'm still gonna think Dana was the spy master who died, and then Rafael had to take over.
Could be.
Yeah, I think Dana was definitely a spy of some sort.
She was compromised, I think, because she died the day after, and Rafael left the day before. So I think they knew that their spy master was compromised because of the miscommunication and stuff. So Dakan had to
Yeah, but this whole conversation here just made me not suspicious of them. It made me be able to think that like Dakan, was probably part of Snapdragon years ago, and now he's just trying to, from within the government, improve the system.
Dana
He's not succeeding.
Yeah, he didn't succeed, obviously, and it cost him a promotion. And then there was also Stefan just being biased against Herman, because Herman wouldn't have been Phantom Scythe, whereas Tristan would have been a fossil.
I wonder if Will's dad knew Dana or didn't like Dana.
Imagine
maybe
the
he
heart
just-
attack Stefan would get meeting Kim.
Yeah, maybe he knows what else. Maybe he does know Kim. Oh God, that terror.
Yes, that would be a very funny reaction. She should totally be eating watermelon when she meets him.
And it's splashing in his face when she's chomping on it, seeds go flying in his hair.
I
Wait,
can
but
totally
maybe-
see him having the worst first impression of her, possible.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be impressed with her shooting ability. Maybe.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah, when she's pointing the gun at him. No, I'm kidding. With Kim though, I think that she's gonna be the tether between the brothers, because she already feels bad with Rafael, but she was listening to Rafael, but also, she felt bad for Will. So I feel like she's gonna be the connection that will help them bring them back together for their mother.
Yeah, given how she can't see her sister again. So the fact that Will has a sibling who
She wants to
he
help.
can kind of reach out to him, but he's not, that would, from her perspective, I guess.
Kim is so mature for telling Will. She had just met Rafael, learned that he just left, and then she says you don't have to forgive him, but you shouldn't have that guilt and that hatred and that like everything just hovering over you, because one day he's gonna be gone. And it makes me wonder if Kim and Dana had some kind of like unresolved, like something unresolved.
I don't know, because
They seem so happy.
Kim seemed to like have closure with the death, but I think it's very possible that she got closure afterwards when she realized that there was nothing changing, and even though they ended on bad terms, and even though Dana is gone, she still loves her sister, and she knew that her sister still loved her, and that was what was important.
I think also having a healthy family dynamic contributed to it. Because when Will lost his brother, like there was this hole that couldn't be filled by anything. But like Kim still had her parents. She still had people who, I guess, and then as a family, I guess they cope together in a healthy way with the loss rather than what the Hawks did.
Yeah, and Stefan said that he didn't pressure Will for a while, but now he is, and it was like, I think that either way you weren't good, Stefan. Your poor Will needed therapy. He needed people.
They all need therapy.
Yeah, they do.
We should get like a beach episode, sort of like from
The Ember
Avatar, but like
Island
instead of
Bears?
going to the beach, they go to a therapist's office.
If they would actually have therapy in this time though, like since there might be, there might not be.
I feel like it was mentioned somewhere, but I don't really remember. I feel like someone asked F if there was therapy in Artalis. Let me check.
Yeah, that's interesting because, well, obviously the psychological point of views, this psychology in general it was frowned upon. So therapy in general, it was mostly here, take this and you'll be good, or oh hell, lobotomy. Okay. It was very extreme.
So this is
Freud had psychoanalysis, but that was,
they just it was mostly just bear with it or drink.
So Solus asked, does therapy exist in Artalis? And F said, yeah. So it is.
Do you like save all these nuggets like in some location where you can look it up?
I'm still in the old server, so I can just like search keywords.
Yeah,
that's useful, especially since we had a lot of old theories. I just like try to search up when I like want to find them. I just like search up keywords I remember.
Yeah, I always forget my old theories.
Yeah.
I just want to say, like, I'm so impressed with this. I'm so happy to see like a nice normal conversation, because there's so much of this comic is based on like people not talking to each other.
I know, right?
Vital information. It's so nice to see two adults sit there and talk about things, and there's no lies, and there's no double guessing, and there's no like holding things back, as far as we know, at least. And it's like, whew, it's like just a breath of fresh air.
It really is. I was so happy with it. And I didn't even realize it at first, but the more I was reading it, I was like, this is so normal and nice. Yay, talking and truth.
It's so normal and nice, and yet what they're talking about is the next terrorist attack on the city.
It was the spark that led like the entire plot. Like, great.
Let's just such a normal, casual conversation about terrorism and class oppression and corrupt royals. Just everyday things.
And also something that I did notice is that because Tristan and Dakan seem to be comfortable in their relationship with each other, Lauren and Kieran are obviously not, Will and Kim are not, they're still at the age and the stage of their relationship where they're figuring it out, right? They're not together, but Dakan and Tristan seem to be very comfortable with each other, and they're not sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, does he like me? Does he not like me? Is he going to kill me? Like, they're not going through that angst that young people go through when they start their relationship. They're already established. They're already comfortable with each other. They don't need to sit there and double guess each other. They're just communicating like people who trust each other and who know each other very well.
And it's why the city hasn't fallen to crumbles and pieces. Also, I'm like when I saw them though, I was like, oh my god, I wonder how the first kiss happened with Dakan. Like college life, like two cute boys.
Do you want a whole spin-off series? Just
yes,
for
please. I love it so much. The more I think about it, I'm just like, yeah.
I need a whole spin-off series on Darcy. Like those two.
Just Darcy.
Dakan and Darcy. That's yes.
So I want your opinion, Fwoot. So like if you think she's bi or not straight at all, she's a lesbian. Like, do you think there's gonna be romance with Darcy? Like with anyone else? Not like Lauren, obviously. That would be weird.
I mean, people are shipping Darcy and Lauren, but I don't think
It would
that-
just be weird for the story though. Like
yeah,
you know what I
I
mean?
don't think that they're gonna go that
No,
route.
like yeah, the shipping's fine. It's just for canon. I'm wondering. Like
I
maybe
think she's a lesbian.
like maybe
Maybe there might be some like Ace
What
or
if-
Arrow aspects to it too. Like maybe she likes women, but she isn't like sexually attracted to anyone. Like that's for me. I'm bi, but I'm biromantic, so I don't have sexual attraction. So then like I think it might be the same case for Darcy, but instead of being bi, she's a lesbian. I guess like I don't know why not bi. She just gives me lesbian vibes.
I feel like
and
she's
sort
fed
of bi
up with
vibes.
men.
Yeah, she's done with men.
That's all. It's nothing personal, probably, but she's just, she's probably tried to been courted so many times and all this nonsense since she was young, and she was brought up to be for a man,
We also have a lot of bi characters, so I guess it would be neat to see a confirmed lesbian one. I don't know.
I always thought that maybe like when I first saw Darcy and she's all rich and noble, like she probably has this crush on like this cute little flower girl that like works at this flower shop, some like cute college girl that has a normal life, and Darcy's just like, haha, wish that was me. Wish I could just have that.
I don't know about Darcy's love life. I mean, in episode 86, going through the comments, there's one about how they're like, okay, so like there's one where they're like, ooh, Darcy and Bella should kiss. And I don't know, I'm a bit on the fence about that because like Bella is bi and she does give me huge lesbian vibes. But like, I don't know. I don't want to immediately ship her with a female character just because I think like I don't want to like immediately ship her with someone that like she hasn't really interacted with, who actually exists in canon and who is WLW, women loving woman, because I don't know, it kind of feels a little bit fetishy if I'm just like jumping to a ship.
It is
jumping to a ship just because it's like woman loving woman ship.
Like the Darcy and the Lauren, the shipping is a fetish, but because we don't know anything about Darcy and they just met, but like platonically
I
as
get why people
friendship.
ship it. I don't think it's. I mean, it depends how you go about it. It can be fetishized, but
I think it's more of an
I think
aesthetic
most shippers
thing.
aren't fetishizing it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the shipping is aesthetic because like they just look good next to each other. You know what I mean? And their dynamic with like their friendship is it's fluid. Darcy's introduction with Lauren and like how they communicated it felt a lot like Kieran and Lauren, like the way they interact, mentally and stuff. So it was just like a very natural friendship energy that they have.
They get along naturally, so it's no wonder that a ship would immediately jump from that. But I don't know,
I just don't want anyone to fetishize
them either. I'm worried
though.
about the fetishization we
too.
might get from Darcy, especially since she is a person of color, and that issue it is really relevant with characters of color and just people of color in general too. So
So if I were to pick, I would
I'm
rather it
scared
be Darcy
is
and Bella because they feel like exes.
But yeah, when people say that like, oh, when people are like, oh, she should like kiss Bella, I'm like,
It's kind of random, but okay.
Yeah, it's random, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not sure if I really want to know why you think they should kiss or not, but okay.
I feel like I would want
I
like
think
a
I can guess
backup
why.
story.
I think they both seem like very powerful figures. So, people do tend to match up with people whose personalities are at the same like kind of energy level as them.
That's why I feel like they're exes, but they had to break up because Darcy has to be with Will.
I don't know. I'm just cautious and low-key scared to
I'm
watching
just-
comments that are coming
Somehow
up.
I'm just trying to make Bella happy because Bella has no one, and I'm just.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I want Bella to get a
Doesn't
friend.
want
Give
anyone.
Bella,
Bella
like, a
happy?
friend.
I just want Bella a little happy, and Darcy seems like the only one that Bella would tolerate.
Bella's a psycho. Why would anyone care about making her happy? I don't get it. She's like
Well,
I mean,
crazy.
we don't know how much of a psycho is because like we can't tell when she is really lying because Lauren isn't around for a lot of her crucial scenes. So like the whole Bleak Bluff episode, we don't actually really know if it was Kieran who was bluffing. It might have been Bella.
there is so much about Bella we don't know, and so far we only know of her 2 kills. We don't know who else she's killed, but I mean, she killed Sake. We can't really like complain about that. And then there's Harvey, obviously. But I mean, that was to lead way for Kieran to get a position, so we can't complain about that one either. Loki,
was-
thank you.
The
Plot
APB apparently
relevant
has
and
a whole
therefore
file.
inexcusable.
Wait, what?
So remember that when Lauren's in the investigation, there apparently are a whole lot of murders with the golden viper venom. Herman mentions, but I mean, she's an assassin. Like she also has definitely killed a lot of people. But I mean,
We
if you
don't know if that was Bella because she's just trying out the
Yeah,
venom
she
for the
said
first
she was
time. Like
just
Harvey was her
testing it
first
out.
kill using that poison. So all those cold cases before, they aren't really hers.
We think she had a mentor.
Yeah.
Because that's a long time of cold cases, and that's someone professional, and Bella wouldn't have been professional at that point in time.
Mhm.
Not to have cold cases
the
like
cigar
that.
lady is the old Golden Viper assassin.
Whoever it is probably killed Dana, and it makes me sad.
Ooh. Uh-oh.
I don't know, I guess I just take Bella for her word. It could, you're right. I guess it could, I did see that theory before that maybe Bella is lying and she isn't really as nonchalant and evil and enjoys killing people like she says she does. But so far I'm just taking her for her word. And
Mhm.
if she is what she says, then she's psycho. Sorry.
I'm just, yeah,
I
we
mean-
definitely need Bella. Like, we just only have,
Mm.
we've seen one side of Bella because she's interacting with Kieran all the time.
Yeah.
So how she interacts with Kieran is totally different how she could interact with somebody else. So I'm really excited to
And-
see more of Bella.
Bella was taken from the streets and then although she was an orphan in Grey Chapel, and although like Redcliffe did find her, she probably didn't have a choice in what he did with her because Redcliffe was taking orphans and making them circus performers, and her whole thing is fire. And so it hurts to think about a small child, like if she looks maybe like 7, somewhere between like 7 and 11, I guess, like her age, learning how to wield fire. I don't want to, like, she probably got hurt a lot and she probably had so many burns, and she was being abused as a kid. It is child labor. It was
Yeah.
child labor.
But
What
having a
Redcliffe
roof
did.
over your head is better than nothing. So
Mhm.
Child labor
And
was
she
not a thing back then.
seems to- She
It's
seems to take
still
pride in
child
being
labor.
a
They didn't
circus
classify
member.
it as despicable as we do
Yeah.
today, but it was still technically child labor.
It was completely normal for literally all of humanity until recently when we became wealthy enough that children could go get educated instead of working.
Yeah.
But
I mean, just
literally all
because
the
it was
time.
normal doesn't make it all right.
No, but like Bella seems to take pride in being a circus member. Like she probably is making enough money as an assassin, but she's choosing to stay in the circus. It means a lot to her. So
Yeah, but
that's her family pretty much.
we don't know why. It is her family, but she might feel like pressured to stay because it is like the home that she was given. Like even though the circus has put her through like terrible things, it is really all she really knows, and so that might be a reason why she isn't leaving. And then Redcliffe was probably like a father figure to her because she was an
seems
orphan.
very
She didn't have
normed
parents.
by Apostle 7. She talks about Apostle 7 like he's some kind of icon.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, I mean, I don't trust Redcliffe. He made a fortune off child labor and exploiting kids, and not just any kids who have parents, like who could have consented for the kid, kids from the street, like kids who are orphans. So I
totally see it differently. I think he rescued those. I mean, I have to read it again to get all the context, but it seems like he rescued them from the streets, gave them something fun to do, and made their life better. Like gave them a family, food, an occupation that gave them respect.
And they said that he does donate to charities, even though that might be just laundering money. But I
that's
still
why
don't.
no one
Redcliffe is still on my shit list because child labor and like
Yeah.
all the
I mean,
the trafficking, probably
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like,
That's why no one in PH has called him
God
out yet,
damn it.
because they think it's a good thing. Like this dude, like he raised orphans out of poverty. Like, how is that not a bad thing? And yeah, on paper, that's not really a bad thing, but he did make himself a fortune off child labor. And it does make me wonder, like, were the kids paid fairly?
Mhm.
Or
Where they
and
just
then
tools.
and then obviously the business isn't that great because some of them even ended up as assassins. And I don't think it's because of like the pay, like they weren't paid enough. I just
The
he raised them in a
environment.
way where they just ended up as like what seems to be psychopathic assassins
Yeah,
or
it seemed
psychotic
more like
assassins. Like,
it's
oh god.
it was like, if Bella did, join, she owes him her life. So that's already the first problem. Radcliffe owns their lives. And then it's like she wants to be in the circus, but it's like obviously the environment's not good if she ended up an assassin. So obviously something was forced, she was trained or given the option. Two choices that weren't ideal. I also don't think Redcliffe was the one that found her in that flashback. I think it was Rafael.
I thought
Still
it might
going
have
with
been
that theory.
Alexander.
The legs and the like the whole like the legs and the feet. It just seems too skinny to be like a grown adult male like Redcliffe. And
Mhm.
Raphael was still young at the time, so and he has skinny ankles and long feet. So that was my theory.
I'm honestly choosing not to judge Redcliffe before we see more of him.
No, I'm choosing to judge. Like usually like it's good not to judge, but this guy can burn, I think. I want
Hopefully
him,
he's not what we think he is.
yeah, I want him tied to a stake, and then I want that stake to be burned.
But why I'm suspicious is because they said during the carnival, I think it was like 71 or 72, Kieran says, oh, it's for the charity. But then Fleming's is a banker, and then he's going to meet up with someone at Radcliffe's party. Like, so what's this charity money? Where is it going? What is it doing? Like, who's it funding?
Mm-hmm.
Just seems like there's a lot of financial topics in PH that aren't addressed yet that are really important that we just don't know about.
And just like real billionaires, I do imagine that the whole charity thing is just like, to make it seem that like he isn't hoarding money and that like he is doing good things with it, even though it's probably such a small fraction of his fortune that like it doesn't even really make a dent in like his net worth or whatever.
He like wakes up like, oh, I just donated how
just
much
like
to charity?
real life
Okay.
billionaires. I think it's just a front to look good so the poor people don't like overthrow him and redistribute his money fairly.
He wants to make himself look like he's not in the Phantom Size.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with Lilia. I feel like we don't know yet. So what, but listen, the ball's coming up soon, so we'll probably find out more.
I mean, just like the leader, Redcliffe has been looming over this series from like almost the very beginning, and that's like a very sus parallel. And the Phantom Scythe needs money, and Redcliffe is rich too. Like he's probably more, I would guess, maybe as rich as the Hawks, and more rich than the Sinclairs even.
I mean, his mansion is in the like
In
it's
the
really close to the royal
to the
palace.
docks.
And it's like on the coast, right? He got a
Yeah,
beachfront
it's
house.
sus. He's probably got underground, waterways and super sus.
Mhm. Yeah, I just checked the map. He's got this whole plot right on the coast.
Yep.
And it's like, it looks like to be the size of Nightingale Park. This place is huge. Or like the Allendale train station. That's how big it is in scale, it seems. Looking at the map.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna put out my one more. Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. There was like one more theory I had about what Dakan said. This was going by if Dakan is Apostle 7. Because I was looking back on the meeting at the Carmine, and So Sake says, we're taking precautions on the next batches, and they've already reached port safely. So Sake told Rafael that some have already reached port safely, and then he says the remaining will travel with our weapons. So the boats with the weapons are still on the way, and then he says even with only what we have now, no one would be able to stop us. And then Rafael says, "Good. I believe we all know what to do." And before that, Rafael had mentioned the slightest shock could cause the ship to go up in flames. So I thought if Dakan was like Apostle 7 and he wanted to have a coup, he would have the weapon or the explosions that are already here for himself. And then the leader's weapons, he would blow up in the sea and they'd sink to the bottom. And then the weapons wouldn't get there. So the leader wouldn't have it. Therefore, Dakan would have power. Because he would have all those explosives. Because he would take over the operation.
Okay, so if according to that, he is
But Mindy, I can't
within
hear
the
you if
Phantom
you're
Scythe, but
talking.
yeah, sorry. So according to that, you're saying he is part of the Phantom Scythe, but trying to overthrow it. Or
Well, because Dakan is already he said that it's come down to the wire. Something's gonna happen, so someone has to make the decision. So I think Dakan's that person that's he's making the jump. He's doing the extreme, even if it's cost his death or whatever. And like it made me think that you could blow up all those weapons and let them sink to the bottom of the ocean, and the leader wouldn't have those weapons, but they would still have explosives for their own. And if the leader was like didn't expect that, maybe he thought that all of the boats would get to the port on time, so those other explosives he wouldn't know where they are. Therefore, like, it would be a threat to him.
you wouldn't know where the explosives that are already in our palace are.
Yeah, because right now the coup is taking over it, so that's why they have the operation. It makes me wonder, because the coup doesn't seem like, face value. The coup would be, oh, they're just trying to make a big explosion and the next, Allendale. But a part of me feels like this coup is just a way to gain control and to take over the leader, but not hurt anybody. That is if Dakan is the Apostle 7. If Redcliffe is the 7th Apostle, then maybe there is going to be a big explosion and people are going to die.
Mm-hmm. If Redcliffe is the apostle, I don't see him bombing his own ball because, like, his property, and he seems to like the money, so like I don't think he would want to pay damages.
Maybe he wants to renovate his house and he's just like, let me just blow it up.
Maybe there's too much evidence that he's Phantom Scythe, so he's like, I'll just blow it up anyway.
Okay, I think our theories are getting a little at least this part out of hand. So that was fun. Lots of cool speculations and a lot of angst, as we were saying. Do we have any final thoughts to wrap this up?
I got top comment.
Yes, that was amazing. So
I actually have third top comment too.
Did you guys?
Under a different name, yeah.
I'm just gonna say on this recording, and if you're listening to this in the future, Rafael is good. I have faith.
Yeah, I do too. This episode really put him in a sympathetic light.
11 people, like, as of this recording, have disliked my top comment. And I'm like, I don't know if it was a misclick or if they genuinely disagree with me, but if they do disagree with me, if they do disagree with me, I mean, it's not my problem. They can not enjoy her character and not admire her character. That's on them, not me.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of the stuff that people write in comments is just totally exaggerated for the sake of being comedic, like I'm just being funny. So I don't know how seriously people take themselves when they comment, but that's my interpretation. I don't know, maybe people really are so exaggerated, but to me it's like so over the top that it must be like funny. Anywho, that was a fun episode. Thank you so much. This was very long, not surprisingly, because there was so much content in this episode to cover. So Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all the things.
It was so much fun.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think this was a
And thank you
great
for
episode.
listening.
It was very fun doing the podcast.
Fantastic. I think it was like one of the most content-filled episodes that I can recall. It was like it had like everything. It had funny, cool stuff with Darcy, and then like very like emotional stuff with Will, and the like plot stuff at the end with Dakan and Tristan. So it really had like a lot of
And communication between Lawi and Dagestan.
yes.
I was too lazy to take notes for this episode. I was like, oh, it's a there's not that much in this episode. I'll be fine if I don't come in with notes. And this is probably the longest recording I've done so far for the
I didn't
podcast.
write notes for that purpose because I knew it was so hefty. I was like, oh my God, there's just so much, because we're also bringing back like past episodes, because a lot of it's brought up in this one and answers are, told and whatnot.
And you're right. This is the longest PH episode so far.
Yeah, it's like it's like 2.5 hours, I think.
Or so.
I have to eat dinner. And Mindy, it's quite late for you, so
Yes.
and you too, Lilia. So please try to get some
Already
sleep.
my daughter, so she goes on the bus early. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on, and have a wonderful night. I'll see y'all.
Thank you for having
Bye.
us.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.